Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the Gfinity Summer Masters 2 final. 8 players came from around the world, and now we are left with just 2 men standing. We have Hoej, the man on the edge of the top tier of Hearthstone, teamless, but still winning, looking for a second major title, and Faeli from Isuba from the Czech Republic. It's going to be an amazing final. Lothar and Monk are on the desk with me. Guys, this is going to be a great game. This is obviously, Hoej is the favorite, looking to win his second major title. You've talked about the importance of that, Monk. But Faeli, he has such a huge chance here to break out.
Yeah, and he's good at Mosaic. Like, he was like doing it with paper, right? So, yeah. But anyway, jokes on the side. It really will be, I hope, for an amazing match. And the rules are changing. It's a best of 7 right now, and the players can revive one of the decks. Yeah,
absolutely. How does that change, perhaps, how you'd prepare for this? What kind of decks do you think they'll be looking to revive? Will it be, you know, obviously looking at Faeli has the Patron deck, which is considered the strongest. Is he going to rely on that? Or, you know, what would you suggest, Lothar? Are you looking to counterpick against your opponent, or do you just stick with a deck that you know really well?
I think if you're really good with Patron, you should revive Patron, because it's the best deck. But we know that Faeli is running one Battle Rage, which is kind of a problem, as we talked before the break. And but I assume his other decks are not really that well adjusted to actually be revived. Like Midrange Paladin, maybe, but is it good against Hoej's lineup?
Yeah, there are a few stories about Faeli's lineup. The first is, yeah, he's bringing Patron Warrior, but is he really confident after what's happened this weekend to revive that Patron Warrior yet again?
Exactly.
Is he looking to prove himself that he can actually play Patron Warrior really well, despite maybe some of his previous flubs? The other storyline is that Midrange Paladin has really been the deck that has kind of failed throughout this entire tournament, except in the semifinals when Faeli played it against Sixri, because he happened to get just like the perfect matchup.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, let's take a look at our first semi-finalist, Hoej, and how he got to the final. One of the things, obviously, to look at coming into this final is Hoej and Faeli met in our very first game of the Summer Masters 2, and it was an easy 3-0 victory for Faeli. For Hoej, you would say. He kind of coasted through that matchup. Faeli will be hoping to avoid a repeat of that. And then there was a match against Weasel, which was a little less comfortable for Hoej, but he still looked good. And then he came in, took out one of the biggest names here, Green Sheep. Hoej has had a fairly clinical route to the finals, I think, is the good word, because I wouldn't say it was easy. It wasn't like he just lucked in and drew perfectly every time, but he's just looked like he was executing his plays just perfectly at every turn.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, I think Hoej is the most solid player at this event. He's I don't think I caught like any really big misplay. Maybe just like one when he attacked with the shade when he didn't want. It wasn't really 100% misplay. It was just a different type of path to take. But in the end, it did lose him the game. But other than that, I didn't remember and didn't see any kind of misplays.
Yeah, I think a lot of the other players throughout this tournament, because it's a tournament that has a lot of open players, it wasn't a particularly rigorous open format. So a lot of the players, they were nervous the first time here, and they made quite obvious misplays.
Oh, yeah.
Hoej, although Hoej, I think, is the absolute most experienced player out of everyone here, so he definitely isn't vulnerable to those type of misplays.
Yeah, one player who doesn't have as much experience is Faeli, and he got to the final. He had to go through the lower bracket of Group A. So both of these players did come out of Group A, obviously. We did say that lost to Hoej in the first game, but then he rebounded straight away to beat Cypher 3-0. And if you're looking at tournament players recently, Cypher has been probably one of the best tournament performers over the last couple of months. He's just been on an absolute tear, and then he managed to beat Weasel in the lower bracket final, which was a little bit of a close game. That was one that was characterized, we would say, by mistakes and being a very tense series where the players maybe didn't play as well as they would have liked. And then, of course, in our semi-final against Sixri. Lothar, what's been your overall assessment of Faeli and his play so far?
Well, I would say Faeli made a lot of questionable plays, and if he wants to redeem himself, I mean, I think he wants to, and he really would like to take revenge on Hoej's 0-3 loss in the first place. So it's a hard task to do, because first of all, you know that your lineup is not that great against Hoej because you just lost 0-3, and that doesn't like come out of the blue most of the time. But I would say he just needs to calm down. As I was saying, I'm saying this all the weekend, and I will be saying like in other events too. You have to be calm, and you have to calculate the odds. And I think like we see that Faeli is making a lot of notes. I'm not sure if that's helping him.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Monk? Is there a chance that Faeli's getting inside his own head a little bit with being so invested in the note-taking and the preparing and overthinking himself, perhaps?
I think he's, throughout this entire tournament, he's pretty much going through a ritual every single game or every single match. And I think if he sticks to this ritual, it's been working out for him. So you might as well stick to it.
Yeah, because you see that what he was doing there was he was tearing off a bit of paper for each game and writing at the top of it which game, and he's done that every single match.
Very methodical.
Yeah, and it's, as you say, it's a routine for him. It's maybe a comfort thing. But I mean, Lothar, you've talked about the the instinct versus the note taking, and that's really what we're seeing here. We're seeing Hoej. We talked about him being a player who really plays on instinct and plays on feel, versus a guy like Faeli who maybe is basing on notes and probabilities and overthinking things perhaps.
I just think that note taking is fine when you're scouting and you need to know like the exact deck list of your opponent. But I feel when you play the game, most of the players that play card games have really well developed memory, and they can just play the game and remember what's happening in the game. But when you're not focused on the screen, you are not seeing the exact mulligan, when you're not seeing which cards are being like pointed out when they are not even played, that takes a lot of focus. And if you're just making notes during that time, you're losing those really important little things.
Getting into this match here, we do know the class lineups for these two players. Obviously, we've seen them play their decks this weekend so far. Once again, we're sat here saying Druid and Paladin on both sides. They've really been the most picked classes this weekend, almost. I think probably the most picked classes, certainly Paladin. And we do know the Patron warrior for Faeli and the kind of interesting hunter for Hoej. And I wanted to come to you on that, Monk, because we were talking about this just before we came on air. Is that when I asked Hoej what his deck was, he said it was a mid-range hunter, but he's opening up with a very aggressive start with things like Gfinity and Leopard Gnome, which are kind of maybe the face or the hybrid hunter variant, but he is running Dr. Boom and the Savannas and that sort of thing, and the Houndmaster at the top end. So it feels like this may be kind of his own brew of hunter, and we've talked about him being an aggressive player. Yeah,
so basically it's kind of like a hybrid between hybrid hunter and mid-range hunter, if you can
nice one.
Think of it like that. It has the mid-range element of Houndmaster and Dr. Boom, but it also has the hybrid elements of the Abusive Sergeant, the Leopard Gnomes, and the Glaive-Zukas. What it's missing from the hybrid hunter is the Chargers, the Arcane Golems, and the Wolf Riders, exactly. And I don't think it matters that much, but basically what I've discovered through going through stats is that if you run those Leopard Gnomes and you run Glaive-Zuka and the Abusive Sergeants, it's really key to beat Zoo, basically. The matchup just flips 100% around when you add those cards. It's around 70% in favor of Hybrid Hunter versus Zoo, that is.
Okay.
Whereas Mid-Range Hunter is around 45% against Zoo.
Well, there's one important thing. If you're sure that your opponent is running mid-range, then you're sure that will be a freezing trap. But if you see a Leopard Gnome, a Glaive-Zuka, you actually think that there's an explosive trap, and then you're being trapped by the freezing trap when you Abusive Sergeant an egg, an example, and you just lose the game because of that. So there's some little things that can turn the match around, especially if the surprise factor is a thing.
Yeah, the unpredictability of the hunter build, particularly when it concerns those traps, is really important because the more traps we have, some people are running Bear Trap now. Snake Trap is something which always comes in and out of people's lineups. It does mean it's very hard to play around everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, let's get predictions from you guys. This is the final. It's the final game of the day. Lothar, you picked Hoej to win it from the beginning. Are you sticking with that now?
Yeah, I would bet my CSGO skins on him.
You bet all of your skins?
Yeah.
Oh, Blondie, we're thinking of you. Monk?
Well, I will bet my Nando's food vouchers on Hoej.
Wow. I don't know how that value translates. I don't know the currency exchange from Nando's vouchers to CSGO skins. We'll have to maybe see if Nimsh and Soto can give us the information on that. They're waiting to bring you the final. Guys, take it away.
Thank you so much, Callum. And the guys mentioned that Faeli is taking a lot of notes. And we kind of discussed that he might be actually thinking about what he's going to order at Nando's.
Right, yeah. Sorry, all this discussion is just making me really hungry. So I think we should just get back to Hearthstone as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
So who are you favouring in this matchup, Nimsh, for the final?
Yeah, that's the big question. Is Faeli going to take it, or is Faeli going to fail? Or is Hoej going to take it, or is Hoej going to wave his trophy ahoy?
Oh, Nimsh. Always prepared with the puns. I just have nothing to follow that. But like from a personal perspective, like coming back to the game, Hoej, for me, has been a really impressive player this weekend so far. Big fan of, but really enjoyed watching him play. Whereas Faeli, a little bit shaky here and there, especially with the Patron warrior. You know, we've had a lot of discussion. Obviously, Patron's a very popular deck amongst pros, so it's a deck that's much discussed.
Yeah.
So we were sat in the crowd, sort of, analyzing optimal lines and not so optimal lines. But interesting that it looks like he's queuing up first game with leading with Patron Warrior, whereas in the previous series it looked like he was a little bit afraid of his Patron Warrior,
a bit, yeah.
and he left it till the end. So maybe clutching out the game there with the Patron Warrior in the last set has allowed him to rebuild a bit of confidence in the deck, and he's happy to lead it out here.
Absolutely. I think the players playing here in the tournament, they are growing as well. And Faeli is getting something incredible that a lot of people don't get. He's getting a chance for revenge in the final. So Hoej defeated him day one, but now, even though he lost his first match, he's here facing him in the final of the tournament. And if he wins versus Hoej, it will not matter that he lost the first match. So he was able to outgrow himself. He's not the same Faeli that was yesterday.
Yeah, that's very, very true. There's two ways, depending on your mentality, that you can look at it. You can think, oh god, this guy beat me 3-0 last time. How am I going to come back? Or you can use that as motivation to, like, all right, I'm going to come back and crush him.
Is it going to drive him in this first game of the final? Hoej versus Faeli, Grim Patron versus aggressive Secret Paladin.
So straight away, we do see the Argent Squire in the opening hand from Hoej. This deck is very consistent in terms of drawing its 1-drop, so you'd be pretty sad not to hit one of your 1-drops in your opening hand. Argent Squire, one of the best options. On the other hand, Faeli pretty much just going to look for Whirlwind effects and Fiery War Axe. And as I say that, he keeps a Whirlwind, and his mulligan is replaced by a Fiery War Axe, along with the Acolyte of Pain. And now the Death Spike coming into hand as well. This is pretty much a dream anti-aggro opening hand for
on top
Faeli.
of that, there's even Acolyte of Pain. So if he uses all those effects, he'll be able to replenish his hand. But for Hoej, there is the 1-drop, as you mentioned. He got a couple of secrets, which is not great. But he has the Pilot Shredder, he has the Coin, and Mysterious Challenger. And Mysterious Challenger is one of the key cards you want to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in most matchups you keep it in your opening hand, even as a 6-drop, just because it's the engine of the deck, if you like. It's the win condition of the deck. So drawing it opening in your mulligan is not a big deal. Interesting that he chose to keep the Shredder with the Coin, though. He's looking to get resilient things on board, not just the little tiny army of weenie minions that just get swept away by Whirlwind effects. So it's a pretty smart keep from Hoej as well to consolidate something big on the board early with the Shredder.
That's why I was a bit confused if it's an aggro or mid-range Paladin, because one of the games he played was really mid-range with those Shredders. Like even this game, he opened with the Argent Squire, but right now, Hero Power, but then Coin Shredder into Shredder into maybe like he's not playing Belchers, is he?
I think what it is he's playing a very aggressive curve that tops out at Pilot Shredder, apart from the Mysterious Challenger, obviously. So it's still a very heavy deck on 1-drops, or a very light deck on 1-drops, I guess. Lots of 1-drops, Shielded Minibot, Muster for Battle, but then he's put in that Shredder as just a little extra finisher in the deck. So still a lot of experimentation on the right way to build this Secrets deck with the
many builds.
Class. Yeah. But just getting back into the game, we do see a very, very strong start from Faeli, as we talked about. Fiery War Axe to come and answer the Divine Shield straight away, and then just a very competitive Acolyte of Pain on the board against these two 1/1s.
So what will be the line of play? Probably, okay, it's back to Hoej now, but this Acolyte of Pain is going to provide Faeli with the draws, so that's pretty good. Is the Coin Shredder still the best play he can get?
Well, there's no real way to deal with the Acolyte of Pain here, so I would Coin Shredder into Shredder looks like the most solid thing he can do here. I think he just has to suck it up and accept that Acolyte of Pain is going to get a lot of value. Even the Shredder doesn't feel fantastic because it's answered so cleanly, at least the first half with the Fiery War Axe. So yeah, it's just a really strong draw here from Faeli, and Hoej is just trying to create as much pressure as he can and keep asking the questions, but unfortunately Faeli has a handful of fantastic answers right now, and Slam Whirlwind is just an excellent board sweep here. Fiery War Axe has an extremely high chance of dealing with whatever comes out of the...
Not only clearing, but also just drawing cards in the process.
Oh, this is an interesting dilemma here for Faeli. He can choose to draw an extra card here before clearing with the War Axe if he likes, or even using the Inner Rage to clear that way. Inner Rage looks like a slightly suboptimal play to me, but there's definite merit to just poking the Acolyte in and drawing your extra card and then just clearing it away with the War Axe.
Absolutely. I like that. And I don't think you really have to keep the War Axe equipped because you have the Despot coming. And if you draw 2 cards in the process, one right now and one at the start of your turn, you have a chance to get those important patrons at some point.
Right. The only thing that might be in the back of his mind is sometimes when you're playing against an aggressive Paladin deck, you have the thing of, how many cards do I really want to draw? Because Divine Favor is a thing. So he may not want to overload too much, but I think, you know, your eyes light up at all the cards there, and you just take the extra card off Acolyte.
So Subtle, we've mentioned that this matchup is really in favor of Warrior, and we see that Warrior is doing excellent well. What Paladin has to do to win?
Mysterious Challenger on turn 6 is huge, because even though Patron has so many board clear options, it's still incredibly difficult to fight through the chain of secrets. So getting your on-curve Mysterious Challenger is a big deal. But generally, it's not really an emphasis on the Paladin to do the right things. You're kind of hoping that the Warrior just misses key drops. I think the way to play it is just go all in as hard as you can early and just hope that they don't have the Whirlwind to answer your turn 3 muster for battle, and then you can get start spiraling an advantage from there.
So how would you assess the chances right now with so many secrets in hand?
I mean, the fact that double Avenge has come into hand, which means that's actually one less secret that can possibly be drawn off the Mysterious Challenger, which is huge. We still see a hand packed full of answers for Faeli. So, I mean, I would put Faeli as far as like 95% favored in this matchup right now.
That's a lot of percent.
Yeah,
I'm sure Monk would be proud.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have Monk's endless reams of paper of data. That's just me taking a stab in the dark here from quite a lot of experience with both of these decks. But it's definitely looking very, very bad for Hoej here. But Hoej has shown so far in this tournament, he's been in situations where he was at 9 health against aggro decks on turn 4, and he would turn it around and win the game more than once. So if anyone can take a miserable situation and really look like to find that 5% that's still left
Hoej.
that's his, it's Hoej. So.
Absolutely. But even if he fails here, it's best of 7, so Faeli will have to win 4 matches. And some of you might be wondering, how do you win 4 matches if you only have 3 decks in the Conquest format? We have this revival rule.
Yes, the revival rule. So you only bring 3 decks to this tournament, and final being best of 7. So once all your decks are eliminated, you're then able to revive a deck of your choosing to then win again at the end after you've had your 3 wins that you can possibly get with your 3 decks. So here, lots of options, defensive options in hand. Armor Smith, Shield Block, Inner Rage, all fantastic tools for dealing with this board. But 2 secrets have come into play, and playing around Paladin secrets is sort of a new thing that's appeared in the game with TGT. TGT only added 1 secret in Competitive Spirit, but you could be forgiven for assuming that it added all of the Paladin secrets.
It did bring all of the old things.
You never saw them being played before, so...
Repentance? What does it even do?
Right. People just don't have the experience of playing around Paladin secrets. You sometimes see, a little bit of suboptimal ordering in doing things, trying to find out. So you saw the Acolyte attack there, which was testing for the Noble Sacrifice. He's going to probably kill a minion here with Deathbite, which is then going to proc Avenge, if that is a thing. Or he might... It looks like he's going to choose not to attack at all this turn.
He doesn't really have to attack, I feel.
It's true. Especially, actually, with Grim Patron and Inner Rage in his hand, I like holding onto that Deathbite swing a lot. Because he has the option to just, really, really counteract his opponent's plays by just generating a huge board of patrons and just forcing Hoej to go on the defensive and clear the board.
All right, so is this the time to just play Mysterious Challenger?
Yeah, depending on the build of his secrets, it could be a fairly lackluster Christmas tree. Because it's possible he's only playing 1 competitive spirit. Many builds do. It's one of the secrets that's flexible, is you either play 1 or 2. So having 1 competitive spirit in his hand, having 1 Avenge already equipped and the other Avenge in his hand, Mysterious Challenger isn't going to get its full value. So he might want to wait until these secrets are cleared.
He might actually get only 1 secret from this.
Yeah, it depends. I'm not sure what exactly his build is in terms of Redemption and Repentance and things like that.
I think we haven't seen Repentance.
Okay.
But... I would not bet you on that.
Right. But, I mean, outside of just dropping the big 6 drop here, it's not really like he has a hugely aggressive play. So
it's so bad.
Yeah,
you can muster and kill the minion with the weapon.
Right.
Nah.
It doesn't feel good. So trades both of his 2-drops there into the both of his 2/2s into the unstable ghoul and just goes ahead and slams the 6/6. And there you go, good read, Nimch. Only 1 secret comes down off the Mysterious Challenger, so fairly underwhelming as far as Mysterious Challenger plays go.
Especially because the Armor Smith is going to attack to face.
Right.
We're going to see the Noble Sacrifice, Avenge, and then
Execute.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's unfortunate, and he has full information now because he tested last turn so that he knew which secrets were in play, and then with only 1 secret being added, you know that secret is Noble Sacrifice. So there was no mystery to the Mysterious Challenger that turn. He had full information of what was in play, so he could find the correct play to play around it.
And that might actually be it with the Grim Patient and double Inner Rage, weapon attack and execute. The board's being cleared. There are no secrets. Well, is there a competitive spirit still? Not really. And that's it.
Yeah,
So
Hoej just going to go ahead and concede here. He's not going to waste anyone's time. He knows the game's over, so...
No 5%.
No 5% for Hoej that game, no. But very impressive first game with Faeli. And as we said, Grim Patron was a deck that he has been a little bit shaky with today, to say the least. So to get that first win, get it out of the way, maybe now that even gives him enough confidence that he might even choose to revive Grim Patron again at the end. So.
Absolutely. He is growing with the game. And even though he seemed shaky and making some weird decisions, he is an experienced competitive player. He was playing WoW TCG before. He was in many tournaments, not only in Czech Republic, but he was traveling. So, you know, maybe being new to esports, first time in a booth, it's not like you can practice that.
Right, yeah, it's not. You can't exactly just build a soundproof booth in your bedroom and just practice being in it for 5 hours a day, right?
It's like, oh, Mom, I'm going to practice Hearthstone. Yeah. You have to knock next time.
It's not exactly a thing, no. It's a very difficult situation to get used to, and it's so far removed from, you know, just playing video games in your bedroom or wherever it is you play normally.
And he is practicing with Stanislav Sivka, so he's one of the best Czech players playing right now in this final.
Yeah, and it's definitely showing, as you say, that he's growing into the tournament as it goes. And honestly, like if you're gonna play badly, get it out of the way early when maybe you have a little bit of leeway, you know, and then gather your nerves, improve through the tournament, and peak at the final. I mean, that's a pretty optimal strategy, right, for winning a tournament. So.
And now he's 1-0, and he still has a couple of good decks. So, all right. That's the Patron. That's the deck that he struggled the most.
Yes.
It's out. He might actually revive it still.
Right.
But for now, he can just pick the Druid or Paladin.
Yep, we know this is a mid-range Paladin as opposed to a more aggressive Secret Paladin from Faeli's side, and I believe the Druid is, again, a fairly old-style Druid. None of the Living Roots, Darnassus Aspirant, I don't think so. Fairly similar matchups here. They both have that old style of Druid, and then we have mid-range Paleo against Hybrid Hunter, which is, again, a fairly even matchup. I don't think either is hugely favored.
Absolutely.
It really comes down to probably just a comfort pick here of which of the decks he wants to
he might also
lead with.
die roll, just coin flip which deck he wants to pick, and he picks Paladin, I believe, and Hoej changes the deck to Hunter.
Interesting. So we are going to see the Hybrid Hunter, or the hybrid mid-range Hunter, if you like, in up against the mid-range Paladin. Very interesting build that the analyst desk talked about a little bit with the 4 1-drops, the Web Spinners and the Lepinomes, and then having the extra Web Spinners in your deck then allows you to play Houndmasters as well, and he's sacrificing the Chargers for that more sort of board-centric approach.
And he's not playing Bear Trap.
Right. He's not playing Bear Trap.
But he was looking at a mid-range Hunter list, and he thought, like, oh man, I just need to play those Lepinomes. They're so good. And with this game, too, is starting Hunter versus Paladin. There is a Web Spinner in the hand. I really like starting with Web Spinner. Not only can trade versus the small jobs, you also are granted a card outside of your collection.
Yes.
And maybe a card that is going to win you the game.
Interesting, we also see 1 tracking in Hoej's deck. Not sure if that's a card that we've seen come out of his Hunter deck yet, but interesting inclusion there just to dig through the deck for key cards that he needs. Unleash the Hounds, I don't necessarily think is a keep against slower builds of Paladin. Against the aggressive builds, obviously, it's the best card in your deck. It's the one that you want to see. But against the mid-range style, it gives you a little bit of insurance against turn 3 muster for battle. But beyond that, not a great deal of value unless you're able to combine it with something like a Knife Juggler.
So we casted this matchup before, and you said that you feel like Paladin has an advantage, where I feel that Hunter has an advantage. Have you changed your mind, or do you still stand that Paladin actually has a better way to kill Hunter?
I think mid-range Paladin has an advantage against the genuine mid-range build of Hunter. I think the more aggressive you get, the Paladin advantage starts to lessen.
Right.
So the fact there's the slightly more aggressive cards in this deck, like the Glaive Zuka and the Abusive Sergeant, may work in Hoej's favor here. Flare, though, has been a dead card I get for Hoej very, very often this tournament so far. Obviously, he's put it in his deck as insurance against all the secret paladins that he was probably expecting, but...
Wait, wasn't he targeting Freeze Mage?
I mean, that would be a nice byproduct as well, right? If he came up against a Freeze Mage, this would be a fantastic deck to defeat that as well. But
that's the thing that killed Freeze Mage on ladder. People still played it, but now you just can't with all the flares flying.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice easy cleanup there on the Knife Juggler. Faeli played the Knife Juggler to dominate the Web Spinner that turn, but was just answered nicely with Quickshot. And Quickshot card that was introduced in BRM that's just given Hunter so much extra flexibility in the early turns.
It's a better Dark Bomb.
Right, yeah, it's Dark Bomb with upside, which is a crazy card. And when you give it to something like Hunter, who, if they're able to seize the board early, they can spiral that advantage so easily. Quickshot is just a fantastic card to give you another option to find different ways to get board control early in the game. Which
it's actually also easy to just draw the card.
Right.
So do you think Brave Archer might actually make it?
Yeah. I'm not sold on the Brave Archer Gnimch. I'm gonna need a lot more work before I think that card is good. Maybe in a deck with Garrison Commander and Justicar Trueheart, Hero Power Hunter.
Maybe we are going to see that at some point. Okay, so Pilot Shredder on turn 3 is very powerful. How is Faeli going to react to that? What can he even do? True Silver seems alright.
Yeah, he has the True Silver here as an initial investment almost to set up a really good Consecrate on a following turn. But for now, he's kind of conceding the board here unless Hoej gets a really poor 2-drop out of the Shredder here, like a Captain's Parrot or a Novice Engineer.
Can you take me through the inclusion? Ooh. The mech is pretty nice, but can you take me through the inclusion of the Murloc Knight? How does it complement the Paladin deck? Because there is no doubt the card is good, and we are going to have a lot of fun with the card, but still, the card is just really good. And how does it change the dynamics of the mid-range Paladin?
Murloc Knight is just such a fantastic card for immediately generating board presence, and that's like one of the things that made mid-range Paladin good in the first place was a card they were given a while ago, Muster for Battle, which what it allows you to do is immediately generate board presence on turn 3 and immediately generate massive board presences on turn 8 with Quartermaster. What Murloc Knight is kind of a halfway point in there, where around sort of turn 6 of the game you can generate this really, really difficult to remove board. Because the way the stats are spread out, the main body of the Murloc itself is pretty resistant to AoE.
It is.
But then you get these 2 little extra tokens, so it's not weak to spot removal either. So you get this really, really sticky board that's difficult to deal with, and it just gives you extra insurance against things like Consecration, against Brawl. Because if they happen, you just have this immediate refill just to get back onto the board and maintain your pressure.
All right, and what do you say about Tuskar Jouster?
Tuskar Jouster, interesting card. If you're really concerned about aggro, I think you would prefer the consistency of a heal bot, but 5/5 body is hard to overlook. Like, the difference between a 5/5 and a 3/3 is huge. So if you're not just outright targeting aggro with your Paladin deck, I think it's a really nice card to include.
All right, we're going to see if Jouster is going to win the joust, but for now, Hoej is being really aggressive with...
Yeah, I think the Consecrate is too good here to go ahead and play the Jouster, because that, as long as that Snow Chugger sticks on the board, this True Silver Charge is useless, because he's just going to be frozen every turn. So the Joust will have to wait for another turn, because I'm pretty certain we will see the Murloc Knight hero power come down next turn.
So for Hoej, he can develop the weapon, and he has to be aggressive at some point. He needs to find the way to deal the 21 points of damage. Is that this turn, or do you still draw cards and develop your board? If he goes for Flare, he might actually go with the Web Spinner and Captain's Parrot. Animal Companion is interesting, but after seeing Consecrate, maybe just going to the small minions will be better.
Yeah, it's interesting. He did check his trap there, and we saw that it was Snake Trap.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
you know, putting up a target for the True Silver Champion isn't really a terrible thing, because you're kind of okay with him just swinging at your generated minion from Animal Companion, because you're pretty confident you're going to pick up the 3/1/1 snakes to fight back the next turn. And if you were to top deck into something like a Houndmaster on the following turn, you're suddenly generating a really big board presence again.
Ram Wrangler.
Ram Wrangler, yeah, is a card that I know Raven is a huge fan of. I'm not quite so convinced yet, but Faeli not gonna bother too much with these snakes. Just gonna go ahead and generate his board here. But he is going to choose to trade, recognizing that he's the slower of the decks here and needs to be playing control.
Yeah, and 2-1 is not the greatest.
Right.
You can get so many better Murlocs. Like a
Yeah.
2-5, Murkai being a 3-4.
Yeah, Murloc War Leader. Siltfin Spirit Walker, surprisingly good as well when you get it for free, despite being a really bad card in isolation. If he'd have chosen to go face there with the Bluegill Warrior, then he would have got punished extremely hard here by the top deck Knife Juggler along with the Unleash the Hounds that we see in hand.
So a good decision there. Now Hoej needs to think how to deal with the Murloc Knight, because you just have to kill it.
Yeah.
There's no way just leaving it on board and summoning small dudes and Murlocs.
Right, he does have the option to Owl it, which is one of the ways where you can sometimes ignore it, but I think in this matchup your Owl is pretty hard reserved for Tyrion Fordring. So
I like the weapon, and I like playing Captain's Parrot and Web Spinner, because with this, you've seen one Consecrate. Though Hoej disagrees and goes for the Juggler Web Spinner.
Unfortunate juggle there, hitting face. Like you said, he's seen one Consecrate here, so you know, following the same argument, he probably assumes the Knife Juggler is pretty safe, especially since he's seen one True Silver used as well. So he can assume quite safely that the Paladin deck is fairly low on removal options. Of course, we know looking at the hand that is not the case at all.
Yeah, that's the plot twist. He actually has a second Consecrate and a second
True Silver, yeah. So he's going to mull over his options here. Obviously, Consecrate has the merit of clearing the board completely, but he pretty much just gets to develop a hero power token with it. Whereas using the True Silver, okay, sure, he only gets to hero power again, but you're also developing the weapon charge for the next turn as well. So it's actually slightly better in terms of board development than the Consecrate.
Absolutely. I think I definitely like the True Silver champion here.
Oh, this is a really interesting play, actually. Not something that I considered at all. Leaving a Knife Juggler on board against Hunter never feels like too fantastic of an idea, but I guess with the Equality Consecrate backup plan in his hand, he's not feeling too terrible.
Even the Consecrate as it is, I think he's trying to bait out more minions on board and make the Consecration better. With the True Silver, he is taking damage, but he's not really extending his game plan. Because he will be only like playing from behind, killing the minions, and then die eventually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like this play, because you know, leaving the Knife Juggler on board does incentivize Hoej to just play a lot more minions. You know, preferably a bunch of small minions to fire lots of knives, and then obviously Consecration comes into play as a huge problem for Hoej. But this is the kind of situation where he's playing a little bit fast and loose with his life total. So you know, say Hoej was just to push face here, which looks like exactly what he's going to do. We talked earlier about how that Tuskar Jouster is not reliable. You know, it might whiff. There are High Mains and Dr. Boom in Hoej's deck, so he's very capable of winning a joust. And then suddenly, like, the Paladin deck is pretty much just out of healing at that point, and things like Kill Command can just burst over the top of any board dominance that the Paladin might have. That's
true, but we will have to see if Tuskar Jouster is actually attending the tournament or a fishing tournament, because he's a bit confused when he comes to play.
But it looks like this is a pretty juicy Consecrate for Faeli here. The only downside is that he's probably going to have to take 2 extra knives.
Do you really have to? You have 2 minions, so if you Consecrate, you can kill the spiders.
Yeah, I guess the downside of that is that you don't get to push any damage to face this turn, but you're right. The risk of the knives being fired and, say, both knives hitting you in the face is probably a much higher risk than the reward of, you know, getting to attack face with one of your minions.
He's also thinking about silencing the spider, and I think that's a great move where you'll be able to push with 5 damage to the face, but you will be weaker to Unleash the Hounds.
It'll be weaker to Unleash the Hounds, and you won't have a particularly good answer to a Savannah High Main either. But you know, we've gone past the turn 6, and we haven't seen a High Main being played, so safe to assume there isn't one in the hand. Of course, there's always the threat of the top deck.
Makla's Champion.
Yeah.
That's some monkey business right there.
Yeah, I only just found out today that Makla's Champion is actually a beast, so that's a pretty powerful web spinner drop, but The Unleash the Hounds Muckler's Champion Hero Power combo is unfortunately 10 mana, so not quite available to Hoej this turn.
Oh, if he waits 2 turns, he might be able to do it.
If he waits 2 turns, he might draw the Acid Maw that's in his deck and have the Acid Maw Unleash the Hounds combo. That's even better,
that's
right?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So Hoej decides to go all in with the dogs and putting his opponent on 4 points of health.
And here we go. It's pretty much going to come down to the thing we talked about earlier, which is Tuskar Jouster, just not a reliable healing card. And Hoej having drawn pretty much all his early game.
Oh, well, the on hands.
Oh, never mind. I won't finish that thought.
Yeah, don't finish that thought. I was basically hearing Ben Bro just laughing when when he would have to play the Jouster.
Mm-hmm. But
jousting is a fun mechanic.
Jousting is a fun mechanic, yeah. It's just I'm not sure how powerful it is. Tuskar Jouster is one of the few that can get away with it because it kind of has natural on-curve stats where it's okay if it loses in a lot of situations. But I think many of the others that are actually reliant on winning the joust to even be acceptable cards at all. Yeah, King's Alec is the other one that's kind of acceptable. But I've seen people messing around with like Gadgetzan Jouster this weekend, and I think even that, I mean, just play Zombie Chow, right?
True, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, unless he's really, really confident in his jousting abilities, I think we're going to see the Lay on Hands here and not the Tuskar Jouster. Just a matter of whether he chooses to clear the extra damage off the board and leave the beast, which looks like what he is doing.
Alright, so we're going to see Lay on Hands and 3 cards for Faeli. There is a Tyrion.
There is a Tyrion.
He has the Joust, so he still has a lot of heal if the Jouster works.
Ooh, and this was the risk of leaving the beast in play. You activate things like Houndmaster and Kill Command. Obviously, just leaving the Mad Scientist in play gives you more guaranteed damage coming back at you the next turn. Also allows it to trade on the board if that's a thing that Hoej wanted to do, which I'm pretty sure he won't. But either way, he gets to push another 5 this turn if he's going to hero power, which I'm sure he will. I don't think Muckler's Champion is just getting slammed onto the board here.
What is the secret, though?
I'm not sure. I don't think Hoej has checked it, but that probably means he knows what it is, which means there'll be 1 Snake Trap and 2 copies of Freezing, I suspect. So if I was a betting man, I would say that it's Freezing Trap, but I'm not quite sure at this point.
Yeah, I would say it's a Freezing Trap as well. But he might be playing Explosive to mix things up. But
yeah,
absolutely just having 2 secrets, 1 and 2 copies, 1 and 1 copy, that'll be the best setup. So he's thinking about the champion. We are going to see the monkey on board. Monkey and a hippo. Oh man.
That's a confusing play to me. I think the hero power probably represents a bit more value that turn, but
you've seen double consecration.
You have seen double consecrate, so you're not scared of an equality consecrate clear here. So I guess maybe going for the board centric approach makes a lot of sense, but he still has a lot of damage to draw in his deck. I think we still haven't seen a kill command in this game.
And the thing is that you actually set up lethal for this if there is a Tyrion drop, because those minions, if that's a freezing trap, and we're going to see it right now, that is a freezing trap.
Yep.
So the minion is going to kill the dog, and you have 10 points of damage next turn with the hero power. If Tyrion is there, you just silence Tyrion and go for face.
So is there a better play apart from Tyrion? He can play Sludge Belcher, Tuskar Jouster.
All right, so he's going for the joust. So
like
this is the very important moment.
Right, this is actually win or lose right here. This is an absolutely huge joust. And he gets the Dr. Boom. Is there anything, Nimch, that Dr. Boom cannot do?
Well, it heals apparently now, so... Tuskar Jouster won at the fishing tournament. He has the fishing rod, but he is actually healing. Look at that turtle. It's so happy.
Safe in that extra healing, he decides to just go ahead with the True Silver instead of using the Sludge Belcher that turn. Which I like a lot because, you know, Sludge Belcher is vulnerable to something like Owl, but Savannah High Main here looking pretty nice.
Yeah, but there is a good answer in a form of Aldor Peacekeeper.
There is indeed. And unfortunately, most Hunter decks will only run 1 Owl, so there's no chance of, you know, it looks like Aldor Peacekeeper Sludge Belcher is a very, very likely turn this turn. So there's no chance of the second Owl top deck for 1 Owl on the Belcher, 1 Owl to restore the 6 attack to your high main.
If we're going to see Aldor and then an Owl, is that an Owldor situation?
Oh, Nimsh. One day you'll run out of puns. One day you'll just have no more left.
Never.
Yeah,
as long as Hearthstone is alive.
Okay. But
Dr. Boom actually came to the hand as well.
It did, yeah. Dr. Boom just very, very smug with its game-winning performance there, appearing off the Tuskar Jouster. Just had to come and make an appearance and say, hey guys, I'm probably not going to hit the board this game, but I've won the game as usual. Dr. Boom.
So Faeli seems to be stabilizing, but I will not say that he is in a great position. Yeah, Haunted Creeper is definitely helping him here.
Yeah, Haunted Creeper, not a fantastic draw for Hoej, and like we said, he really needed 2 owls here. He needs some way to duplicate that Iron Beak owl so that he can get through the Belcher and restore the 6 power to his high main.
Well, he probably needs to attack into the 5-1. Especially because he's seen double consecration already.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a very bad shape if he doesn't.
Yeah, that's very true. So he restores the power to his board, turns his 1 power high main into 4 power of hyenas. So again, threatening a lethal situation, but we see now the owl has been spent. Tyrion can come down uncontested and will achieve his full value. So things are lining up pretty well here for Faeli to go out to a pretty significant advantage here at 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, Faeli is on a roll. What can Hoej top deck something? Is like quick shot into kill command lethal? It is.
Quick shot into kill command would be lethal, but I'm not even sure if he's playing a second quick shot. Most lists tend not to, and he used one early for board control against the knife juggler. So depending on the exact specifics of his list, he may be drawing dead here, but
there's no way to kill all the beasts.
There's no way to kill all the beasts, no. So quick shot into kill command will definitely be lethal. It's just a matter of whether there is a second quick shot in the deck.
Kill command is not lethal though.
No.
1 damage off. Can Hoej draw an I win card? So that's 13 points of damage, 1 off. That's actually very interesting. Because there was double consecration, double Trucible, but Hoej decides that's it. He concedes, and Faeli is going to take game number 2. That's an interesting lead he's building up here.
It really is, yeah. And we didn't count that wrong, right? There was 13 damage on the board. He wasn't dead on the board. 6 power, 3 power, 3 power, 1 power. That's 13.
Yeah, but how can you really come back? If you're not playing a second quick shot, you know what you have in deck.
So he hero powers that turn. He's down to 6. But then next turn, his beasts are cleared from the board because the Haunted Creeper will be removed. So kill command would still not be a top deck. Yeah, so I guess if he knows that there isn't a second quick shot in the deck, it's fair enough to concede there. But you'd still expect maybe grand finals of a major tournament, you know.
Just have this 1 turn and see if you can finish.
Maybe I've miscounted, maybe I've forgotten one of my outs, but I think Hoej is probably way too confident in his knowledge of his decks and knows that the game was over there and is just choosing to move on and retain a bit of hidden information maybe about some of the exact combinations of cards in his
That's one thing.
deck.
Also, the second thing, if you really are, if you're sure that you lost because you know you have no more outs, there's no point in just staying and agonizing in a game. It's just throw it away and start another one. And because this is a best of 7, there is a chance to come back. Like normally with the best of 5, if one player is 2-0, that's such a great advantage because you have 3 chances with your last deck. But right now, even if Faeli wins 1 more, he's still not the champion. And he'll have this last deck that he has to select.
Absolutely.
And Hoej can just sweep him from there.
So from here, we know that the last deck Faeli has to win with until he has the difficult decision of which deck to revive is his Druid deck. And his Druid deck we've seen is kind of a fairly old-fashioned build of Druid, just relying on the classic Wild Growth and Innovate. None of this fancy, newfangled Darnassus aspirant business. Just relying on the tried and tested ramp cards and the classic double combo, which again is a very similar list to what Hoej has favoured in this tournament as well.
Do you think we are going to see a Druid mirror?
So he knows that he's queuing into Druid here. So I think Secret Paladin is a fairly reasonable pick, but I think Hybrid Hunter is just a really, really powerful pick against any type of Druid. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that the Druid here, but it looks like he's going with the Secret Paladin. Which...
Secret Paladin versus Druid. So he probably feels really secure about this match. And is there a lot of weapon removal for Faeli? We know that Sikri was playing a lot of weapon removal, and he still lost with Druid.
I think there were 2 players in the tournament that were playing the Ooze Harrison Mind Control Tech full anti-Patron build. One of them was definitely Sikri, who we saw in the last. I'm not sure if the other was Faeli. It might well be.
I think Faeli is playing Harrison.
Okay.
But yeah. I'm not sure as well. Like we've seen a lot of Druids, and I'm sure that nobody is running Darnassus Byron.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to see Paladin go up against Druid here. A little bit surprised because I think the Hunter is just such a powerful matchup against Druid here to get a win back on the board straight away. I do think the Paladin is favored. I think Hoej's build in particular does pretty well because of the extra shredders that we talked about earlier. Yeah. Very difficult minion to Druid to deal with, and it allows you to develop something onto the board that doesn't immediately get wrecked by swipe, for example.
So the match will depend on the fact if Faeli is actually going to get the ramp and be able to stop the early aggression. And then game is ready. Game number 3, Hoej versus Faeli. Can Faeli extend his reach and get another win? Or is Hoej going to start coming back from this situation?
Hoej decides to keep the double 2-drops on the coin there, which I like a lot. You can pretty reliably say that you're going to draw a 1-drop by the time you get to turn 3. So 1-drop hero power can always be a follow-up to the coin 2-drop 2-drop opening. So on the coin, keeping double 2s is probably the most powerful thing you can do. He's just going to go ahead and coin out the Knife Juggler here and just demand a Wrath from his opponent, or Faeli is going to be on the back foot very heavily straight away.
Some early greetings, by the way, and I heard that Hoej is the one who emotes a lot, if he's allowed to do it.
Hoej was very notorious in his Via Game House Cup for when players began to rope, he began to spam emotes. And he actually made a Reddit post afterwards talking about how it wasn't, he wasn't just trying, he wasn't just being an idiot about it. Like, he actually had strategic thoughts and like, okay, the rope has come up, the player's going to be about to panic, so I'm just going to do something else, just to put something else in his mind, distract him further, rush him into making a stupid play. So it just goes to show like how deeply Hoej thinks about the game.
Wasn't that to comfort them? It's like, you're stressed, the rope is showing up, and then Hoej says, hey, well played. And it's like, oh, he says I played well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so no immediate answer to the Knife Juggler here, but Innovate Shredder is a pretty powerful play as always, but the Knife Juggler still gets to start plugging away for 3 damage per turn, and the value of the... Oh, I was about to say the value of the Shredder will not be too high, but the Annoyatron pickup there is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm just looking at this mind control tag. You don't want to play it right now. It's a Paladin. Paladin is going to have more than 3 minions on board, for sure.
Yeah, there's no way you can play it here, specifically because next turn, Muster for Battle is so powerful for Hoej. Muster for Battle, pop off the Divine Shield with the Light's Justice weapon, and then just hit through with the mini-bot. So if that happens, then suddenly Mind Control Tech becomes a very strong play for turn 4, which at the moment you don't have a play for turn 4 either. So I think just hero powering off the Divine Shield here is a much stronger play.
Do you attack into the mini bot or do you attack the face? Because obviously if you play the Mind Control Tech, you want to go for face. But if you attack the mini bot, at least it's going to take damage. And if you don't steal the mini bot, if you steal just a dude, it's going to be a 2-1.
Yeah, but you kind of want it as a 2-1, right? Because like 3 out of 4 times you're going to steal a 1-1, and then by removing the Divine Shield this turn, the 1-1 that you steal 75% of the time is then competitive against the 2-1 that you leave behind.
Mathematically, it's correct, but if you follow your heart.
If you follow your heart, you just want that Divine Shield 2-2 straight away. Just leave it alone, Yeah, so Muster for Battle just looks so good here for Hoej. He's going to be feeling good, and he's going to be sat there saying, "Please no swipe, please no swipe, please no swipe." Little does he know that he has an alternate answer in his hand for this board.
Swipe seems still better.
Yeah, swipe would still be better, but Mind Control Tech does the job here, especially if that happens.
Follow the heart always. That would be 2-2.
Yeah. Ooh, double Mysterious Challenger into the hand, and only 1 secret drawn so far. So both of those challenges have the potential to gain quite a lot of value in terms of pulling cards out of the deck and thinning his potential bad draws, which is one of the unappreciated strengths of Mysterious Challenger, in that it actually makes your draws after you play it better, because it removes all those bad cards from your deck that you don't want to draw.
My mind is boggled by the fact that those Paladin players, they don't draw into all the secrets all the time. Like most of the hands I've seen those decks are actually consistent.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right mathematically that they draw hands that don't include secrets so consistently. We did see Hoej's opening game with this deck. He did draw a lot of secrets, so it's not that it doesn't happen, but you're right, it does seem strange how consistent the draws are with this deck.
Okay, so Hoej decided to Blessing of Kings one of the dudes, and he is continuing to be aggressive. That's his deck. He is going for face most of the time. Druid has to protect himself. And now there's a couple of options. There's Lothar, there's Druid of the Claw.
Yeah, difficult choice here. Lotheb almost certainly sets up a direct trade for the 5/5 on the following turn, but you are going to take a ton of damage on the immediate turn, whereas Druid of the Claw doesn't quite have the power to be competitive against the 5/5, and you don't have anything in your hand like Swipe to pick off the last health on the 5/5, so you may have to end up hero powering it anyway and taking the damage. So I'm kind of okay with the lower third play here, even though it ends up with him probably taking just a ton of damage here on the backswing.
Well, at least additional 7.
Right.
But for Hoej, the turn is absolutely terrible. Just a Haunted Creeper and a dude.
Yep, this is one pretty poor turn for him, but his next 2 turns aren't looking too bad, Nimsh.
They're a bit mysterious.
Yeah. It looks like he's considering whether to even play the Haunted Creeper here, or maybe just thinking about positioning. I don't think there's any real positioning concerns in this secret deck, apart from minor concerns with Piloted Shredder and dropping potential buff cards. Harrison Jones is a useful pickup, but destroying a 1/1 Lights Justice, not so good right now, but it might be he's under the threat of lethal from a True Silver at some point in the future, and Harrison Jones is a very nice insurance policy against that.
What about just slamming in Thorson? So you kill the 5/5.
Yeah, looks like a strong play. Druid of the Claw is obviously nice. At some point you want to start getting those taunts down, but Emperor on curve when you're not exactly staring at lethal seems like a pretty strong play.
A very simple Mysterious Challenger, and Faeli is just shaking his head. Free secrets.
Interesting. So it looks like from that play that Hoej only plays 7 secrets in his deck. So 2 Noble Sack, 2 Avenge, 2 Competitive Spirit, 1 Redemption. That is his secrets package.
So what are the secrets right now? That's Noble Sacrifice, that's 1 Avenge, and
Competitive Spirit. It's either Competitive Spirit or Redemption. Yeah. But I think it's more likely that you play 2 Competitive Spirit, 1 Redemption than 2 Redemption, 1 Competitive Spirit. That's just my opinion.
Here we might see an actually pretty good big game Hunter. So if I think you just attack with the Shapeshift, maybe with Thorison into the minion, then the Noble Sacrifice spawns a 2/1, and then we get Avenge. If we get Avenge on the 1/2 Haunted Creeper, we silence it.
Right.
And if there's Avenge on the Mysterious Challenger, can use the big hunter.
Perfect. Who said Paladin secrets were difficult to play around him? She just absolutely nailed that one. It's easy, yeah.
He's going to kill the 1/1 because he wants to avoid the
redemption.
Absolutely, yeah. Ah, 50-50. Yeah. Didn't work this time.
Oh, so it is double redemption and only 1 competitive spirit. That's interesting.
And now there's a Noble Sacrifice blocking Thorson.
Yeah, I don't think Faeli has found the optimal line of dealing with those secrets. Obviously, you have the advantage in finding your play of knowing exactly what the 3 secrets were, or at least narrowing it down to just competitive spirit or redemption. But you definitely found a better play with the perfect information. But it's so much harder putting yourself in Faeli's shoes and thinking, oh god, those could be any 3 of 6 secrets. Like, yeah, how do I deal with this?
It can be explosive chub and freezing wave.
What if it's ice block?
Oh my god, yes, can be effigy.
So now I believe that Mysterious Challenger only pulls a Noble Sacrifice.
Yeah. Wait. No, yeah, because there's Redemption in the hand.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he can play another follow-up secret of his choosing, which in this situation is probably Redemption, in my opinion.
To have this 1 minion that can deal 1 damage.
Right. Just put him to 1. Play the other 6/6.
That's not bad as well, because if you play a 6/6, there's only Thorison and the hero power. Well, because of the hero power, Noble Sacrifice can be actually dealt with. But then the 4/2 stays on board.
He's actually going to choose to go hard with the secrets here and play the sticky Shredder as opposed to the Mysterious Challenger.
Competitive Spirit might be really nice if the Spider dies.
Right. This basically demands a board clear from the opponent, and it's a much tougher board clear than just playing a 6/6, because he has to deal with the board that we see, and then an additional 2-drop and an additional pair of Spectral Spiders from the Haunted Creeper.
Is that a Mysterious Shredder?
A Mysterious Shredder?
He played a Shredder, he got 3 secrets.
Christmas Tree Shredder?
Yeah, it might work here. The positioning is also nice in the middle.
Yep.
So is there anything that Faeli can do not to lose the game?
I don't think so. I'm gonna put money on no. I've already lost one bet today for some popcorn, so I don't want to put too much investment in this, but I'm pretty sure there's no way out of this.
He's never getting that Big Game Hunter to work on this Mystery Challenger.
No, he gets to miss it.
Whoa!
Is this the first time in competitive Hearthstone, Nimsh, that a haunted creeper is going to be Big Game hunted?
I think that is. I've seen Firebat's Big Game Hunter haunted creepers before, but no, that was just an ladder. So
I see.
Faeli's going to concede, and Hoej is making a stand. He's coming back, winning his first game in the Grand Finals.
So I thought his pick there was a little bit questionable to go with the Paladin into the guaranteed Druid as opposed to using the Hunter, but I guess Hoej knew what he was doing, manages to get back on the board, and now that he just has to win 2 more games against the Druid to come back into it, one of which we know is a mirror match, and one of which I think he's heavily favoured in with the Hybrid Hunter. So if he can pull himself back into that position, then suddenly he's the guy that gets to choose which deck to revive, and the whole series is flipped on its head.
I think he absolutely needs to take the Hunter. You explained that before, Hunter is really good, and you don't want to play the coin flip.
Right.
Coin flips are generally bad in the Grand Finals.
Yeah. You'd have to say that the Hybrid Hunter is more than 50% favored against a Druid deck.
Absolutely.
So you generally want to play through these decks in the order of what you consider is most favored to least favored. So I'd be very surprised if we don't see the Hunter come down this time. Obviously, I was advocating him playing the Hunter last time, and then just leave everyone's favorite Druid mirror. Who draws Wild Growth on turn 2?
Oh, come on. There's more to the matchup than that. I'm sure there's more. You know, the tempo advantages, the things you can do.
There is, but it's just such a huge advantage, right? If one player gets Wild Growth and the other one doesn't, then it can be really, really one-sided. The games where both players hit ramp or neither players hit ramp, then they can get really interesting. And there's a lot of little nuances on who is being the aggressive deck and whether the other player allows them to be the aggressive deck or just tries to be aggressive right back at them. But sometimes Wild Growth just decides games.
We had this situation where there was double Wild Growth and double Innervate, and it didn't really work out. But is it going to work out for Hoej? Is it going to work out for Faeli? Stay with us. We're going for a short break right now. Hi everyone and welcome back to Gfinity Summer Masters 2. Hoej actually took the game. Even though Faeli is still leading, this is the moment where he can make a stand. What do you think about the next deck that he's going to pick?
Yeah, we talked about it a little before the break, but I'd be very surprised not to see the Hunter come out here against what he knows is a Druid, because it's the only deck left that Faeli has to choose from. Hunter definitely pretty strongly favored against most forms of Druid. Well, most forms of Hunter against most forms of Druid, but particularly Hybrid is just a really nice middle ground as it's designed to be. Really nice middle ground against Druid decks where it has enough aggression to push damage quickly, but also things like high mains that Druid sees a 6/5 on the board and just
really hard.
Yeah,
really hard to deal with the dragon, with the lions, and they also kill the Druid of the Claw pretty easily. They don't even die, and when they die, they spawn the hyenas. So.
Right. Yeah.
Leperno and a web spinner.
Yeah, really interesting inclusion. We have seen him a couple of times, Hoej, that is, get punished by putting the extra 1-drops in his deck. There was a game against Green Sheep that he was lucky enough to clutch out, but when he was really looking for big draws, he drew Web Spinner into Web Spinner. So putting those extra 4-drops in your deck, obviously, also extra 1-drops in your deck, obviously increases your consistency early in terms of getting the smooth curve. But sometimes top decking a Web Spinner in the late game, not that great.
Or top decking Lepernome, unless your opponent has actually 2 health.
Yeah, Lepernome can still be decent if you're in that situation where you sometimes are with Hunter, where it's I'm just racing you with my hero power. I have inevitability with my hero power. I'm going to kill you in 3 turns. Can you push enough damage back at me until then? If you draw a Lepernome, you've suddenly sped up that clock by 1 turn, and that can be very useful.
There's one thing you really need to consider. We are talking from the perspective of pre-TGT metagame. Maybe Web Spinner is a better card now. Maybe Web Spinner really fits. Because you can get Savage Roar, Savage Combatant, you can get Mackless Champion.
Yeah. Web Spinner has certainly been buffed by TGT. There's a little bit of debate about whether Shredder was buffed or nerfed. In terms of pure stats, it has statistically been buffed slightly, but some of those new cards that you're saying have good stats are things like Wrathguard, Argent Watchman, Darnassus Aspirant, which all have downsides to coming out of Shredder. But Web Spinner, certainly, like the worst beast that's been introduced is King's Elic, and that's a perfectly acceptable 3/2 still. So.
All right, then the game is starting. Game number 4, Faeli versus Hoej. And that's the Hunter versus Druid.
No great surprise. We do see Hunter from Hoej, and we do see that opening hand Lepernome. But on the other side, Faeli has Keeper of the Grove, which is one of the best cards you can have. But Hoej just hits the dream curve. 1, 2, 3. Lepernome, Scientist, Animal Companion. He's going to need a lot more than that Keeper of the Grove to fight back against this.
That is an amazing hand for Hunter. But then Faeli has the coin, that Keeper. And what about Swipe? Do you keep it? Probably not. You just fish for the Wild Grove.
Yeah, it's interesting because your opponent is playing... Well, hello.
There's a couple of Wild Groves. Yeah. I think 1 would be enough. 2 might be clunky.
Yeah, 2 is overkill, but with the Keeper in your hand, really, really important that you drew 1 of them. An Innovate would have been preferred, but important that you get Ramp to go along with your Keeper.
Oh, and Harrison Jones is actually pretty good versus Hunter. Hunter runs weapons.
Yeah, I'd call it one of the least impactful classes where it does actually hit, because often it can be too slow. If you destroy a weapon but they already have a board of minions and you invest your whole turn on just putting this 5/4 on the board, I don't think it's as important as against, say, Rogue or Warrior, but a nice option to have which complements some of the other stuff he does have.
The card I'm looking at is Wrath. Wrath will provide him with some draw, and with double Wild Grove and Keeper, you are going to spend those cards pretty fast.
That's very true, yeah. So he can choose to use Wrath to cycle. He might need to use it as an emergency answer to something. We're going to see the Mad Scientist here. Hoej, for what it's worth, is just going to keep curving out through his perfect opening hand and just keep demanding the answers from Faeli.
And it seems like a super easy Wild Grove for Faeli right now. Getting the Shade. It's not amazing, but might work. Next turn, we're probably going to see the Keeper. But, in 2 turns, Shade can fit the curve.
Yeah. And actually, that's the worst Animal Companion he could have had, because it just gets answered perfectly by the Keeper of the Grove.
But then Keeper cannot silence Mad Scientist.
Right, but if he'd got a Misha there, for example, then, Keeper of the Grove could have come down and silenced the Mad Scientist, sure, but what does it really do? You have a 4/4 on the board that's going to get that same 4 damage in that Huffer just did, but it's going to retain on the board.
There is a weapon for Hoej.
And it looks like we might end up with tracking Eaglehorn Bow being the play here, unless he finds a better option off the tracking.
Well, that's not really a better option. He probably just picked the Savannah Hyman here being the best shop.
Absolutely. Yeah, no immediate benefits from Houndmaster, so that's going to be a pretty dead card. So I think you just take the Big Daddy high main, but unfortunately, it looks like Eagle Hornbow is going to be the play here, and he's going to get absolutely crushed by Harrison Jones.
And you do attack the face.
Yes, you have to. Normally, I think people attack face with first charge of Eagle Hornbow way too much.
Yeah.
Because you limit your flexibility on the following turn so heavily. You know, there might be a really perfect attack on a minion that you need to make the following turn that you then can't make because you've used up your first charge of Eagle Hornbow, and sitting on that second charge of Eagle Horn is so important as you wait for the traps to go off and refresh your bow.
But look at that. Hoej actually recognizes the fact that he doesn't need to play the weapon this turn. He doesn't have to play on turn 5. So he uses the hero power to deal even more damage, and he might play the weapon next turn.
Wow, that's incredible. Is Hoej stream sniping? Can we check in the booth, please? No, that's a really impressive play there to realize how bad Harrison Jones was for him there, and the fact that the bow just didn't have a good target. There just wasn't really a reason to play it apart from pushing a bit of face damage, which wasn't going to be important.
Yeah, but even ignoring the Harrison Jones, I think playing the bow there would be a mistake. Because, as you said, it's better to attack into minions. So he didn't want to attack face and just leave the bow hanging.
Right, and there's no way you're going to equip a bow and leave it on 2 charges going into a Druid's turn 5.
If you can go with the hero power.
Yeah. So really strong play by Hoej there. So we see Ancient of Law, always a powerful turn 7 for Druid, so flexible, you know, in control matchups, you just use it to dig through your deck. If you're in trouble, if you're in danger of dying, it's a nice emergency 5 heal. It's not the most efficient heal in the game, 5 healing for 7 mana, but putting a 5/5 body on the board at the same time, it's still a pretty powerful option.
But do you still go for it? I think like you test for the trap first. That's a freezing trap, right?
Yeah, that's a freezing trap, yeah.
So testing it against the trap, on one side you want to get the trap out and you want to see what it is, but on the other hand you are giving durability to the weapon. But other than that, I feel like the turn is Pilot Shredder and Shade of Naxxramas, because you want to have the minions. Oh, actually, if that's a freezing shot, yeah, that's Harrison.
So Harrison Jones is really strong here, not only because it destroys the weapon and draws 2 cards, but it's also competitive against the main body of high main, which might come down. And he's seen the tracking being activated, and then he's seen the card that was tracked into sitting in Hoej's hand for several turns. So he might have a strong read on the fact that that's high main. So getting this 5 attack body on the board to be competitive with the main body of the 6/5, it's actually just really strong as well.
But he still slammed the high main.
Yeah, I mean, they trade on board, and then you still have 4 power left over afterwards. That's just the power of Savannah high main, right? So
there is swipe for Faeli, and you do attack into the high main, but what else can you really do here?
You do have some mind control tech options here. You can attack into the Savannah high main, you can Wrath the Haunted Creeper, and you can play mind control tech. Unfortunately, you're gonna steal a pretty insignificant minion at that point, and it's gonna leave a decent amount of power on your opponent's board to keep pushing damage. So they're probably more efficient options, but this is again just the power of Savannah high main. Even with a Wrath, a Swipe, and a mind control tech in his hand, there still just isn't really like a perfect answer to this situation.
Well, we can clear the board with the attack. So you Wrath the 1/2, you attack the Harrison of the 6/5. You swipe one of the hyenas, and then you hero power the other one.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I like that.
The hero dropped to 16.
Oh, he is actually going to go with the mind control tech play. Wow.
Nice.
That surprises me a little bit. Hoej has the chance here to dump his hand. Yes, that is 7 mana. He can dump everything, quick shot face here if he wants to take that line.
That's a lot of damage, though.
That is a lot of damage. If he does unleash the hounds first, then he's either going to use some of this board to trade, or he's not going all in with the quick shot this turn, because he doesn't have enough room on the board to play the second web spinner now. So yeah, he is going to use the non-beast minions to trade here. It's good ordering. Ooh, I don't know quite about quick shotting a minion here. Because Swipe is just so devastating here, right? Like,
yeah, it is, but Swipe was...
Sorry, go on.
I think like Hoej actually assumes there is no Swipe, because Swipe was so good last turn.
Right, that's a very good point.
So Faeli, in the mind games, mind gaming Hoej that he doesn't have the Swipe, but in fact he has one.
The mind games tech?
Yeah, it did work.
Yeah. But yeah, Swipe is pretty much going to blow the game out here. He does, you know, as long as he doesn't die next turn, he then has the Ancient of Law to heal up on the following turn. And it seems pretty unlikely that he's going to die. Acid Maw, not the best minion here, especially having just used his Unleash the Hounds, which is a kind of trolly combo that we talked about earlier, but could have been effective.
You probably still have to play it.
Ah, the old 7-mana 4/2.
Well, actually, if you can set up a snake trap, maybe, then Acid Maw can destroy the minions with the snakes.
That's a very good point, but yeah, can he convince Faeli to attack into a minion here? I guess
If you play the
Snake Trap
Kodo-
and Kodo seems fairly reasonable, yeah.
So Snake Trap and Kodo, and then Kodo is not easy to kill.
Nope.
You might need to hero power to kill the Kodo.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will not be able to kill all the snakes.
Right. Yeah, I like it. It's just a matter of whether Hoej feels like he needs to be hero powering every turn at this point, because he's kind of so close to top deck lethal with kill command kind of situations, especially with the Houndmaster in hand. But he chooses to go with the play we discussed for going the hero power for this turn. So.
And it might actually work, because there's no great way to deal with this Kodo if Faeli decides to attack into it.
Mm-hmm. And we don't see the burst in Faeli's hand either, so it's not like he can actually activate a race here and look to finish with a Force of Nature Savage Roar combo or just a Savage Roar on its own on a following turn. So
and it is a beast, you have to deal with it.
Right, it's a beast. It activates Houndmaster, it activates Kill Command. So this is just a really difficult situation here for Faeli. Again, he has the mystery here of whether he's playing around Snake Trap or Freezing Trap. He's seen one Freezing already. I don't know how much information he has on Hoej's build, but we're pretty confident he's playing double Freezing on one Snake based on the interactions with the traps in the last game. I'm not sure how much Faeli knows, and here he does have to consider the relative merits of the Freezing Trap as well. Does decide to just go face, and it looks like he's going to use the Ancient of Law to heal.
So he's not respecting the minion that much, and he knows that this is the Snake Trap, so I like it.
Yeah, I like it too, and this does in fact represent lethal on the board, so he is asking the question now of Hoej, but Hoej has a really nice Houndmaster here, which answers the question of lethal, and he has the lower third perfectly on curve to follow it up as well.
And this will also activate the Snake Trap.
Right.
So he will have Acid Maw with the snakes next turn.
Yep.
And there is no way to swipe the snakes because of Lava. Well, you can probably do it.
Yeah, it would be your entire turn, and you'd need to top deck it right here. Druid of the Claw is pretty nice, though, for a bit of an extra insurance policy. Would be surprised if we don't see
Druid of the Claw lethal, maybe, possibly?
Looks like he's charged it straight.
That's exactly 15. Yeah, that's lethal.
Yeah, because he has hero power as well, so that is lethal.
All right, so attack with the Ooze into the Kodo, then attacking with the cat to kill everything. Hero power. Now he has 15 power on board. He just needs to finish it off with the 3 minions remaining. Shades, Shredder, Ancient of Lore, and Faeli takes game number 4, extending his lead to 3-1 versus Hoej.
And now we get into the difficult decisions of which deck is Faeli going to revive. And we were talking about this a little bit in the break, Nimch. We think strategically the correct pick is Grim Patron Warrior to revive in terms of the matchups that it'll face against. But it's kind of a matter of Faeli's level of confidence in the deck.
Are you confident enough to win the tournament with the Grim Patron?
Right.
He has 3 chances, though.
He has 3 chances, yeah. So I think you just have to go with the strategically best pick here. I mean, it may even be we're kind of inventing storylines here that don't exist, and we could talk to Faeli afterwards, and he'd oh no, I felt fine with Patron the whole time.
I feel so good with Patron that I cut 1 Battle Rage.
Right, yeah. Just to give everyone else a chance, I took one of the best cards out of the deck. But he's definitely seemed a little bit shaky with that deck, certainly more so than his other decks, which he's played really well. So it might be a matter of, he's one of those players that felt like he had to bring Grim Patron to the tournament because it has the reputation of being the best deck. He might not be a natural Grim Patron player. If that's the case, then it's actually a really difficult decision about whether you choose to revive it here.
And it's also a problem for Hoej, because Hoej doesn't know which deck is being revived.
Right.
So before he knew he's facing Druid, but with this, what am I facing? Which deck am I bringing? Hoej needs to win 3 games versus that last deck.
Yep.
But and the next 2, if he wins the next game, he will know what that is. But right now, this is the most important moment. But still, he needs to win with all the decks remaining. So does it really matter what he brings?
From Hoej's perspective, it kind of comes down to, often we say it doesn't really matter. You have to win with all the decks anyway. But we talked earlier, you kind of like to go through it in a methodical order and use your best deck and then your second best deck and your third best deck. The important point for him to know is when he has to choose which of Hoej's decks he's reviving. At that point, he needs to know. And at that point, he definitely will know. He's going to have full information. So it looks like, in fact... oh, no, that's not been updated yet. My apologies. So we're still waiting to see what Faeli's going to revive. But yeah, for Hoej, it's not such a big deal. He's pretty much just going to randomize his pick here. He might go through some sort of situation where he tries to get a read on what Faeli's going to... But at this point, it doesn't seem worth it. I think if you're Hoej, you just dice roll at this point and pick one of your decks. So.
And Hoej is a player who was playing excellently through the whole tournament. And we see him on camera as well. He's looking really, I'm not say confident, but calm.
Yeah, very relaxed, very business-like. I think he's accepted at this point that this is what I do now. I come to big tournaments, I play in high-pressure situations, and I try and perform my best. He's a player that's become accustomed to it, as opposed to Faeli, who we've seen grow more accustomed to it as the tournament has progressed.
Hearthstone is a serious business. And it doesn't matter how many puns I throw at you. It still is.
It still is, yeah. It's a serious business, and Hoej's definitely a person who takes it seriously. I know he said he's felt a lot of pressure here. One of the things that he's really appreciative of his family. His twin brother is here, has come out to watch. He's hugely appreciative of that, wants to put on a good show for them. Maybe win the prize money so he can treat them to reward them for surprising him by coming out here and visiting them.
Absolutely. You want to perform well.
Right.
Everybody wants to perform well, and Faeli is actually picking his Paladin.
Paladin. So it probably turns out that we didn't invent that storyline. It seems like that's a real thing, because I think we can all fairly safely agree that strategically the right pick is Grim Patron Warrior to revive him.
It absolutely was. Yeah. But if Faeli feels confident in his Paladin, in the power of the Murloc Knight, this is it. This is game 5?
Game 5, yeah. 3-1 to Faeli right now. But yeah, we saw he barely scraped through against the Hybrid Hunter last time, which is one of the decks he needed to defeat. If he'd have lost that Joust, which I can't sit here and calculate the exact odds for you, but there was still double high main and boom left in Hoej's Hunter deck. So there was a pretty high chance of him losing that Joust, and if he did lose that Joust, the game was just simply over. So he scraped through by the skin of his teeth against Hunter before. You have to feel like Grim Patron was more powerful overall, but a lot of faith in his Paladin deck, obviously, and nice Knife Juggler in the opening hand, but not a lot else going on. Whereas from Hoej's side, he doesn't have any of his ramp, but he has the Druid plan B if you don't draw the ramp, which is the Shader Naxxramas on turn 3, along with a nice Wrath to deal with this Knife Juggler.
So what do you think about the matchup overall? Like, we talk about the hands a bit right now, but does Faeli have an advantage?
I think this matchup is one of the genuine 50-50 matchups in Hearthstone. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. It comes down to so much between key interactions between key cards. Master for Battle, ask your opponent, do you have the swipe? Pilot Shredder, ask them do you have the True Silver? And those interactions go back and forth with both players asking questions and both players having to provide answers. And there's so many of those individual interactions that it's really hard to pick a favored deck. And it really does come out as quite 50-50.
I have a deja vu. It seems like we've been in this situation where Faeli played Master for Battle and Hoej does not follow up with swipe.
Right. Ooh, Tempo Consecrate, just to kill a Shader Naxxramas. What do you think of that play, Nimsh?
I just love it. That's ballsy. It's Faeli saying, hey, I'm winning 3-1 against you. I can consecrate your Shade.
Right, and he snapped that onto the board as well. He didn't even consider playing the Shredder. He just went, nope, sorry, you don't get to have that ever-growing 2-2 on the board. I'm just dealing with that right now.
He just declined playing the minion there.
Right. Now he gets to play the Tuskar Jouster just to remove the value of the swipe face there, potentially. But this game still has a lot of juice left in it, and the second swipe in hand for Hoej, let him be a little bit more reckless with the first one.
I like Jouster. It's good on curve, and on 6 you probably want to pilot the Shredder. Ooh, he lost the Joust. Oh, Tuskar Jouster, you traitor.
But still, this is why Tuskar Jouster is one of the few Joust cards we see. 5 mana, vanilla 5/5, pretty reasonable body. You know, if you look at what you have to deal with on turn 5, interacts pretty well with a Sludge Belcher. It can kill Emperor. It can kill Lower Theb. You know, so 5/5 for 5, pretty acceptable.
Even with Druid of the Claw, because Paladin has this one static attack for a couple of turns.
Right.
So yeah, it failed. It didn't matter that much. And Faeli is in a good position with the Shredder on 6 and Boom on 7. What is the best for Hoej? He has his own Boom on 6.
Yeah, he is going to get to play the first Dr. Boom here, which is a big deal because there is just no sort of answer whatsoever apart from the minions that he's going to have on board here from Faeli's side. So I'd be very surprised if we don't see a coin Dr. Boom. Well,
but the Tusker is
there's going to be a 4-1 on
the
the board. Yeah, it actually makes Swipe very appealing. So we probably won't see a coin Dr. Boom here, actually, which then allows Faeli to keep the initiative and be the first person to drop the big 7 drop on the board.
Whoever booms first. There's Torison as well, but this is not a turn for Torison. So you either swipe.
Swipe. You're just not. I mean, is there any sort of initiative play you can make here? I mean, Keeper of the Grove plus hero power, but still, then you're left with the Keeper of the Grove up against a 4/3 Shredder. So that doesn't feel great.
Boom seems bad.
Boom does just seem really bad here. Yeah. Wow.
Like
did we both just say that?
Yeah, I can't believe it. In the grand finals, Boom seems bad.
Yeah.
What is this Hearthstone? And that's because of the Tusker Jouster. Because it stayed on board as a 5/1. So even the simple muster for battle with that one dude can deal with Boom, create a couple of tokens, and then you have to deal with the Fighter Shredder.
So we do see the swipe here. He's going to hope for a hero powerable. Oh, that's totally fine.
Okay, so Lower Walker Show, whenever it drops, I'm thinking who is benefiting and who is in a very bad situation.
So generally, it's worse for the player who has the Lore Walker Cho because Hoej can pick when and where to remove Lore Walker from the board as long as he gets some sort of board presence of his own. Whereas, you know, this Paladin deck doesn't play any buffs from what we've seen, so there's no way to give the Cho power. So if he wants to cast something like Lay on Hands at any point in this game, he's pretty much guaranteed to give it to his opponent.
But then Cho can actually soak some bomb damage.
That's very true. That's very true as well. Aldor Peacekeeper, massive tempo play here. Neutralize the 7/7 into a 1/7, trade with his own 7/7, retain the 7/6 on board. Huge swing on the board.
Use the bombs as well.
Yep.
But then Aldor can actually die here.
It can. But I think you'd almost prefer the 3/3 dying than taking damage on Dr. Boom here, so I kind of agree with his ordering. I think that 7/6, if it stays unscathed by these bombs, can pretty much just carry the game if there's no big game hunter.
2 damage to face, that's so bad.
That's absolutely terrible.
Those bombs were dismantled before they even got there.
And I like starting to get the hero power tokens onto the board here. You've seen double swipe, so each one of them demands an actual hero power from Hoej here. And you're in the situation where with Quartermaster in hand, you can turn your Silverhand recruits into burst damage quite easily.
I wouldn't even hate Zombie Chow. Yeah, absolutely. You've seen the swipe. So with Zombie Chow, you're just in... this is still a mid-range game.
Oh, Cho, what a champ. What a champ.
He just took one for the team.
Yeah. But how do you feel about the True Silver Champion into the boom bot there? Oh, hi. Well, that's a big game hunter.
Yeah, it is.
Well, how do you feel about the True Silver attack that turn?
I don't hate it.
Okay.
Because then, like, you control the board yourself. So you have so many good targets that can die for the bomb. And if you leave the bomb right there, your opponent might actually manipulate your board to have a better target for the bomb.
Fair enough. So, yeah, we do see Innovate and Coin still in Hoej's hand, but kind of locked out from using it here from the Lore Walker Cho. But now that it is down on 1 health, we have that situation I talked about earlier where he can pretty much choose when and where to dispatch that with a hero power whenever he feels like it.
But that's still 2 mana he has to spend.
It is. But the thing is, he can immediately get that 2 mana back with the Innovate that he's then allowed to spend afterwards. So it's not a huge deal, but definitely the Lore Walker Cho advantage is in Hoej's court right now, but the board position is spiraling out of control right now for him.
Faeli is like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
I just killed it for 2, heal him, and then attacking for free, and then my board is just a Troll Walker Cho, and... Oh man, is he going to run 2 minions into the 5/4?
This is there may be a little bit of last post nerves here for Faeli creeping in, because he's playing really timidly now. Let's not use the word timid, but he's making the safest possible play each turn, which is definitely something that a trap that you can fall into when you get close to like a really big result like this. You imagine worst case scenarios over and over again, and you try and play around everything instead of just trying to be proactive and really win the game. So the double trade into the Harrison is very passive there, but
why would he do that? He's actually, yeah, if he would do that to combo, because with Harrison that would be 21 and he was exactly 21.
That's very true. All right, that's a good catch, Nimsh. In that case, I take back everything I just said, and that was actually a pretty heads-up play from Faeli to reduce the amount of damage on the board for combo.
And with no Savage, or Hoej doesn't have it yet, but he's really closing in.
He is, yeah.
And that show is just still on the board. He can't really heal.
And Leon Hands is such a dilemma here. He's just going to go ahead and give it to him. Yeah. Really awkward. There we see the Leon Hands pop up into Hoej's hand, and no owl drawn for Faeli. So that Sylvanas is going to get some value at some point here. So how is he going to choose to trade this board down and develop his own board here?
I think it's just attack with the 2-5, the 4-2, and then with the 2-2 and 3-3 go into Sylvanas, and then hope that he takes Lord Walker Cho.
Sure. Yeah, because the options for the steal there are a 2-1, a 2-2, or Lord Walker Cho, so none of them are the end of the world. But
you might even do that to give him one more chance.
Would that still be lethal, though? So he would have a 2-power guy, plus a 3-attack Shade, so that's 5, plus 14 is 19, plus 4 is 23. So now he'd actually be safe, even if he stole one of the 2-power guys here. Although we do see the Innovate in his hand, so... Innovate combo is a thing that Faeli may be scared of, because he hasn't seen Innovates happening this game, but we see that Hoej is still a few cards short of that. But now he has some card draw in his hand if he wants it.
Yeah, he has the options here. So yeah, because of the heal, Hoej is in a good position. The lower Cho is just so crazy there, staying. It's like, oh look, I stayed with the team to protect us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I like the Emperor Thurasan here. Just he can actually play for board again here if he would like to. You know, trade down, take the value trades on the board, just play Emperor, have a big dominant 5/5 body on the board, and looks like that's what he's going to go for here.
Absolutely.
And again, like he's basically saying to his opponent, he's giving him the consecrate option, right? Saying, well, if you want to consecrate, that's 2 extra damage for me. So,
I'm going to take it.
Yeah. So, you know, pretty heads-up play again from Hoej, just to be aware of his Lord Walker Cho mechanics and put himself in the strongest possible position.
Is there any way to kill the Lord Walker Cho? Can Faeli do it? He's just giving the spells away.
Muster for battle here as well, just given to the Druid, but I think... oh, wow, those knives.
That is a sniper juggler.
All 3 perfect hits to the minion. Now we have an Aldor Peacekeeper to neutralize the Emperor Thurasan.
And double swipe is out.
Double swipe is in fact gone, yeah. So there's a huge amount of value on the board right now. We don't see a Quartermaster in Faeli's hand. He has already used one as well, but...
Faeli's just laughing at this local show. It just stays on board.
Yeah.
Right now he can't even summon like more creatures, so he has to hope that something dies.
So he has 2 options here to draw cards for 7 mana.
Finally, after all those years, the Walker Show is going to bite the dust.
Interesting. So which spells does he intend on using this turn?
Some
is the question.
spells, for sure.
Some spells are being used, or else there's no reason to make this attack, but it's just a matter of which combination he's going to use.
He's still thinking about it. He's like, oh, Lord Walker Cho, you helped me so much. Do I really get rid of you?
Yeah, I mean, Lord Walker Cho's been an absolute champ here for Hoej. Apart from that 3 damage Boombot that he tanked, it's been all uphill stuff for Hoej here. But okay, so it looks like he's going to lead with the Force of Nature. There's no Savage Roar that I'm missing in the hand, so this is definitely not lethal. But it looks like he's going to use it to trade down the board.
Oh, well, it's not a clear, but he's actually setting up himself in a good spot where... if he goes for the board battles right now, he's absolutely going to win that. His opponent, Faeli, has only 2 cards. Hoej is absolutely healthy on board. He's 25 points of health. He has the heals. He has everything.
Oh, sorry. I'm just amusing myself with the Druid Lights Justice right now. What a crazy game we have here for potentially the last game of a grand finals. We have, you know, swingy back and forth turns, Lorewalker Cho shenanigans, boombots on boombots. Like, we've had everything going on this game.
Yeah, it's absolutely pure Hearthstone. I love it.
Justice.
But that's actually a really interesting line of play from Hoej, because what it signals is that he's going to use that extra value that he's picked up from the Lorewalker Cho to actually switch from the outright aggressive game that he was playing for a few turns to he's just going to try and outcard Faeli at this point.
Yeah, just play the mid-range game.
Yeah.
Because he has Lay on Hands.
Yeah, he has Lay on Hands, and he has Ancient of Law in his hand, and his hand has been Emperor twice, so he has so much value in his hand for so much of an efficient mana cost that he can just keep going in this game for so long now.
And now he even picked up the Savager, so whenever he gets that advantage on board, he will be able to just finish the game right away.
2 mana Keeper of the Grove seems like a pretty solid card to me.
2 mana 2/4, kill a 3 mana 4/2.
Yep, and then he can innovate and hero power to give himself 2 total attack with the Light's Justice, clear out the 3/2 as well if he'd like to. And no, looks like he's holding on to the innovate. He's just going to pick off the 1/1, leave the 3/2 on the board. Ah, coin, innovate, Druid of the Claw instead. All right, I like this play a lot.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
And it stops the board as well, because it's not like Faeli is going to kill him with this. There is a Murloc Knight! And he can play all the cards in hand.
He can.
And the Murloc is...
Puddle Stomper. Just one of the most vanilla minions that you can get, but, you know, a free 3/2 is definitely nothing to be sniffed at. So.
It's turned into a full, all-out mid-range battle.
Yeah, it really has. This is like one of my favorite styles of Hearthstone, where, you know, there's both players are just trying to seize the board, and whoever gets the overwhelming board advantage is then just going to win the game. I think that's a really, really like pure and simple way of playing Hearthstone.
It's like arena game, a bit. Okay, so Hoej just needs to continue clearing. The best news for Hoej is that Faeli doesn't have any cards in hand.
Yeah.
There's Keeper of the Grove. He can kill the Paddle Stomper.
It's what he thinks that for sure the Murloc Knight has to be answered here. From there, he has several options as well. Like with double innovate in hand. Wait, didn't he innovate the Druid of the Claw last turn?
No, he had two. Well, I thought he did. Maybe that was a small observer mode. Or...
Oh, very confusing. Anyway, moving
he definitely used the coin.
Right, yeah. So with double innovate, if he does in fact still have double innovate, which it looks like he does, he can just slam Ancient of War here, which he has to be pretty confident is safe based on the fact there's no minions in hand right now.
So Faeli needs a Black Knight. He's like, thanks or well played. And that's not a Black Knight. 10 more cards. Can he go through this? He has the cards on board to actually kill the Ancient of War.
He does, and he has the 10 power to push through, but Sludge Belcher not exactly the most competitive thing against that 5/5, and he's just staring back at a wall of what's going to be 6 cards this turn, and he knows there's still just the Druid deck is just still chocked with so much value. You know, there's a second Ancient of War to come, and there's still a host of other mid-range minions as well. So, looking really, really bleak for Faeli this game, especially since his Lay on Hands has already been used.
It's all because of the Lorewalker Cho.
Yeah.
Just giving that Lay on Hands.
Yeah.
Master for Battle. The Light's Justice is still there.
Yeah. But it was a really, really important moment for Hoej to realize that he could switch the strategy from the aggressive play to, well, hang on, I just have a handful of value right now. I'm just going to play card for card with this guy, and there's just no way he's going to be able to live with the amount of value I have.
And that was also such an important game because Hoej didn't know what he's facing, and right now he knows that this is a... Oh, look at that! Turn comes to the save, but that's too late. And with Keeper of the Grove and double Savager, Hoej has it. That's enough.
It is. So we're coming back from to 3-2 here. Hoej's starting to begin the long road back, and this is maybe where some doubts can start creeping in for Faeli. Or should I have revived the Patron Warrior instead? Have I made the right choice here, bringing back the Paladin? You know, I now have to play against the Hunter deck that I barely scraped through against last time. So
he still has 2 chances, so GG to Hoej. And that's a 3-2. Faeli with Paladin. And Hoej is left with... What's the last deck? The
Hybrid Hunter.
Hybrid Hunter. So now he has to win with Hybrid Hunter.
Yes.
And if he wins with Hybrid Hunter, he can get the best matchup. What will be the best matchup?
Honestly, They're all
Hybrid Hunter?
Yeah, so I think they're all pretty solid. I mean, I think the other two matchups, the Hybrid Hunter and the Secret Pally, are probably marginally better than 50-50. And we've discussed the Druid Pally thing at some length, that we think that's around 50-50. So I wouldn't be surprised to see either the Paladin or the Hunter get revived. But, you know, Hoej has to take this one step at a time. He has to really 100% focus on this Hunter game.
Yeah.
He came, you know, within a single joust of winning the game last time we saw this happening.
That's really well said.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been simply lethal if he'd have lost the joust. The Sludge Belcher would have been silenced, and he just would have pushed through the damage and won the game. So he knows that, you know, this is a matchup he's capable of winning. Because the Paladin had a pretty strong draw in the last game, and he still came within one joust of winning the game. So.
Yeah, but still, it's not a one-sided matchup, and Faeli has a good chance to win with the Paladin again, especially because he won already. And yeah, on the back of the Murloc Knights, you know, and he even has two chances. So if Hoej wins with the Hunter, it will be a 1-1 Hunter Paladin match, and then the last one, whoever wins that, is going to become our ground champion.
That is a very good way of looking at it, but we are just waiting for them to have a moment to compose themselves. This is a huge match, certainly the biggest match that Faeli has played at this point in his career for him. You know, Hoej, a bit more of an old hand at this sort of thing, has been in this situation before, but still, this is a hugely tense moment for him as well. So, no surprise the players are just taking a little moment to compose themselves here, even though there's no decisions to be made. You know, only one thing can possibly happen. They're just taking a little moment to just gather their thoughts, and we're going to see the Hybrid Hunter come down against the mid-range Paladin here.
All right, so how would you assess the Faeli's play? He played really well that last match. It was all about the Lord Walker Show, I feel.
Yeah, the Lore Walker Cho was pretty devastating. He did of course make the decision to start the chain of events spiraling because he chose to use the Lay on Hands. But to be fair, he had two cards in his hand, and one of them was Lay on Hands. One of them was Lay on Hands. So it's a pretty simple decision that you have to take the risk. But what was crucial is that the Lay on Hands didn't hit the Owl for the Sylvanas, which, you know, had to be the thing he was looking for.
Sure.
And the game just spiraled from there, really.
Absolutely. But he is really playing his A game here in the final, and he's doing his best to take the title, and he's one step away.
Absolutely, yeah. He's looked the most comfortable that I've seen him this entire weekend, and he's definitely like peaking at the right moment. There's just a question where maybe that last decision of which deck to revive might just let him down and cost him this tournament.
All right, game number 6 is starting right now. We're going to see if he can make it, if Faeli can win with his Paladin, or is Hoej going to crush his dreams of Hunter?
So not a great deal going on in Hoej's opening hand. He very quickly crossed out all 3 cards to make a full mulligan, and now he's decided he's going back and taking a look in more detail. Animal Companion, not terrible to start a bit of pressure on turn 3, but without one of those 4 1-drops that he has in his deck, plus, you know, the Knife Juggler's Mad Scientists, it's maybe too big of a risk to keep it and you know, have nothing to do on the first 2 turns. So
yeah, versus Paladin specifically, I think you really need the 1-drop or 2-drop.
Yeah.
And if you miss those 2, you might just miss the game, and he can have no mistakes here. If he loses this match, he's eliminated. He's not the champion, even though everybody said that he is the one to win the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And from Faeli's side, pretty clear full mulligan. He really wants to hit those mini-bots, Muster for Battle, Zombie Chow.
He mulliganed to Jouster. That was a winning card.
Yeah, it's the game-winning card. But I think he's a lot happier seeing the Zombie Chow Knife Juggler curve come into his hand.
On the other hand, Hoej actually got good cards as well, so he will be able to respond to that.
He did. So both of them, you know, a couple of strong options and a couple of options that, you know, are useful cards, but something you'd like to draw into later. You know, Flare, if you do have it in your deck and it's not going to hit secrets, you want it as a late game cycle option. Kill Command, again, something you want to draw later. And again, from Faeli's side, he has the Equality and the Harrison, which are useful cards in the matchup at some point, but not something you're looking for in your opening hand.
So Hoej already with the aggression, 2 damage to face, but Faeli can fight back. And he has a lot of heal in the deck. So if he actually takes control over this board by turn 5, he might be in a great position to win the game, like even with Lay on Hands right now.
Yeah, he's got a pretty strong opening here with the Knife Juggler follow up to the Zombie Chow, and then he has options with depending on he might be lucky enough to top deck a Muster for Battle, but even if he doesn't, he has a nice Coin Shredder to follow up and assert some board dominance. If he plays the Knife Juggler, you of course have to trade the Zombie Chow into the 2/1 to protect it, and then you're asking a question of the Hunter because he needs to be able to clear both of those minions off the board to start developing his own threats later on.
I like the Juggler because then you are really forcing an Eagle Hornbow, and you have that Harrison. So Harrison, again, like last game, it proved to be a very great card. You just play into Freezing Trap and destroy the bow. If it's going to get value again...
That's a really interesting play. Chooses to trade into the spiders and just slow play with the hero power there.
He absolutely expected the Juggler here.
Right.
Double Mad Scientist. Well,
and a Snake Trap. So this Mad Scientist will hit guaranteed freezing if our understanding of Hoej's deck build is correct. Freezing, not really the best thing against Paladin because they can always just summon the 1/1s onto the board. And as the Hunter, you don't really want to be wasting your time trading away 1/1s so they don't pop your Freezing Trap. So quite often they don't get particularly strong value against Paladin.
Coin Shredder is really powerful, but that's one of the cards that you can actually deal with using your Freezing Trap.
Right. It does demand Hoej to trade off the Knife Juggler. If sorry, trade off the... Wow, how did I know he was going to draw a Knife Juggler that turn?
You're so good at this.
It does require him to trade off the Mad Scientist if he wants to deal with it immediately. But he might just choose to attack past it and just trust that the Freezing Trap is gonna interact with that Shredder at some point in the next couple of turns.
I'm just thinking what to say, what to ask of you, because I wanted to ask you to imitate Ben Brode's laugh or pre-record it.
No,
but you don't have to do that. You don't have to do
my
that.
laugh is nowhere near that powerful and infectious, so I'll leave that to the professionals and Ben Brode himself. We don't want too much forehead spam in chat, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so Knife Juggler is a great card, but do you really play it here? Do you set up the Freezing Trap? If you attack, I think Freezing Trap actually has a lot of merit. You deal with the minion, and then you don't give your opponent enough time to do anything else. And it's not like Paladin is going to have charge. Right. This kind of Paladin, because no, the aggressive Paladin always has the deckhand.
Yeah.
And Juggler, what is this trap then?
Right, yeah, that's a good point, actually. You're creating the 50-50 between the Snake Trap and the freezing, where you're potentially scaring him away from using something like a True Silver Champion with the threat of popping the snakes. So this is a pretty awkward turn for Faeli to navigate. But the fact that he so clearly wanted the trap that turn means that he has a specific game plan in mind. And Faeli you can see him there just trying to reason through why he would want a trap so badly this turn.
But it's so amazing that with the specific plan in mind, he actually applied both plans.
Yes.
This is a perfect turn. It can be a Freezing Trap or a Snake Trap.
Yeah. Absolutely. So he just goes ahead and he pointed at face there, so I think that was definitely the right plan. Just goes ahead and drops the second Shredder, which is an excellent card for him here.
So Web Spinner is not a great card on 5. He needs to fish for something else. Glaive Zuka, though.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good filler. And it's even more damage.
I like developing it here over the hero power, because next turn is almost certainly Savannah High main. And you want to have that weapon equipped to maximize your chance to allow Savannah High main to have dominance on the board.
Also, interesting sequencing, making sure that Juggler will be able to attack. There's no taunt.
Ooh. He's going to choose to trade here and protect the Web Spinner, maybe?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, even though you're losing some damage.
I think with the high main follow-up here and the Glaive Zuka equipped to fight for the board a little bit, he feels like he can play the board game here. Savannah high main is so powerful that even when you have no cards in hand, you feel like high main on its own can carry you so far that you feel like you can play the board control game and still dominate with Savannah high main.
There's Master, the dudes with the Juggler and the knives flying. So suddenly the board is being taken. That's a pretty good back and forth.
So Bloodfen Raptor comes into hand. We talked earlier about how King's Elic is one of the worst cards that have been added to the Web Spinner pool in TGT, and how it's just a 3/2, which is perfectly fine. So of course Bloodfen Raptor, not a card you're too upset to pick up either.
So now back to Faeli. He needs to deal with the high main, and he picks the best answer. One of the best answers.
I mean, that was the best possible card he could draw this turn.
There is a Handmaster for Hoej, so he can a bit counter it. But
actually, no. Owl would have been a better draw this turn, because Owl Equality would have just been a really nice full clear.
You just clear.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to go with the Equality option anyway here. and then follow up with the True Silver, I believe he just picked up.
Yeah, well, that's a full clear, actually.
That is a full clear as well. It's not quite as favorable as the Owl top deck would have been, but interesting that he chooses to preserve his Aldor in hand for a future turn here.
That's probably because he is in a situation where he is the controlling player, so he wants to exhaust the resources of Hunter. Hunter is just throwing everything at him,
right?
And he still has Lay on Hands, so as long as he just clears whatever is being thrown, he will be in a good position.
Houndmaster really clutch there to buff whichever minion he got outside of True Silver range. Obviously, if he got Huffer, he wouldn't be able to do that, but he'd be able to push 6 to face, which would have been fantastic anyway. So, pretty win-win situation there with the Houndmaster, and now we will probably see that Aldor that he's held in reserve come down to neutralize the threat of that 6/6 a bit.
Do you use Consecration though? So you do Aldor the Burr, and then you can attack the Burr.
Oh, I think if you're consecrating, then you Aldor the minion that's going to remain, right? I think you just man up and take the 6 to your face with the True Silver and just...
Which is essentially 4 because you do heal too.
Right. And then you neutralize the minion on the board that can potentially keep attacking for 2 or more turns and deal even more damage.
I like it, and it seems like Faeli sees the play as well, and he goes for it. Is there anything else you want to keep Consecration for?
At this point, when the Hunter's in top deck mode, you're pretty confident using Consecration in any sort of removal situation. You know, Consecrate is at its best against Hunter. No
Jungle Panthers?
No Jungle Panthers, yeah. Consecrate's on its best like on turn 4 most of the time, because that's when they've developed their board of Jugglers and Haunted Creeper and Mad Scientist, and Consecrate's really powerful.
Alright.
We do see the Unleash Kill Command combo in hand for the Hunter, which seems to have been killing people for as long as I can remember, Nimsh. I don't know about you.
Yeah, from the very beginning of Hearthstone. Well, actually...
Well, no.
Not really. Well, Unleash was still killing people, but it did something else.
That is true, yeah.
So what did it do? Just a nostalgia trip?
So the original Unleash the Hounds was... give all your beasts charge and +2 attack, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the deck was based on a lot of small beasts that you just
Young
accumulated.
Dragonhawk. Yeah. Crazy times.
And Unleash got nerfed twice, because first it got changed and to 4 mana card.
Yeah.
And it got buffed, I guess, to a 3 mana card.
Well, it was buffed to a 2 mana card, right? And then that was completely broken.
It was 4 mana for some time as well, right?
Yeah, it was 4 mana, then it went to 2 and went back to 3.
Yeah,
I believe was the chain of events. But anyway, back to the game at hand. Some nice options in hand. Lay on Hands brings a lot of stability to Faeli's long game here, and it's going to ask a lot of questions of Hoej, especially if that Lay on Hands then pulls into the Tuskar Jouster. But he's going to go ahead and take the board development route here first, and try and use Lay on Hands on a turn where he's more consolidated to win with the board presence. But
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah,
because
me too.
You're not threatened to get killed by 1/1 Houndmaster, which is not even a beast.
Right.
You should use your minions first.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a pretty strong top deck from Hoej, and it might be enough again to prevent the Lay on Hands. And suddenly we're in the position where Unleash Kill Command is getting pretty close to lethal.
Yeah, Hoej can still take it.
Yeah. But I would expect that this might be considered enough of an emergency from Faeli that the Lay on Hands does come down this turn.
Also, the fact that Hoej is still thinking about his play is giving Faeli a lot of information what it might be.
Right. So he knows the cards in hand are castable with 3 mana. That's step 1. He also knows that they weren't cards that were good last turn with the same amount of mana reserved, and they're cards that are potentially strong here.
All right. So Hoej goes for it. He's seen that Consecration before.
This play is really strong against specifically Lay on Hands, because you get those. Those dogs allow you to deal the extra damage because you know your opponent is going to use up his whole turn with Lay on Hands, in which case you've consolidated the board, so there's more things to remove for the minions that are in play, which means something extra is going to get left behind and be able to push more damage back the next turn. So again, a really strong play here from Hoej, sacrificing the combo that I think a lot of people would have just held on to, for the ultimate value of the Unleash Kill Command kill.
He just applies the pressure.
Just applies more pressure straight away, exactly.
I think Lay on Hands is still the play.
I think it has to
You're
happen,
not that on board. You can deny the beast still, and next turn you are taking 7 damage DC plus 2 spells.
So we do see the Belcher come down, but no Tuskar Jouster as of yet. So, unless he top decks it soon, this might be his final health pool for for this game. Has 17 health to work with, and he has to find a way to finish the Hunter before the inevitability of the Hunter hero power.
Yeah, no.
If he didn't have an answer for that.
Oh, man.
Ooh, hello.
Oh, so that's actually 8,
We're all
10?
in, right?
Wait, so is this enough? There's 5 damage more?
No, not quite. Houndmaster is a pretty fantastic draw, though.
You still play it, and you go...
Oh, it's a really tough decision. It's a really tough decision, because all you're doing is gaining 2 extra damage, right? And you get that 2 damage from pressing hero power anyway.
But Tyrion is a possibility. So
Tyrion is a possibility. So
and you've seen the
board.
consecration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow. So just putting Faeli on 4 points of health. Can Faeli deal with this board and start healing, because he is on a turn 2 o'clock?
Okay, True Silver is something. True Silver will at least neutralize the hero power for 2 extra turns and give him more draws to draw into more healing. Sludge Belcher, you know, he can stall the game with Taunt, Sludge Belcher, Tyrion, all he wants. You know, what this comes down to is, can he kill Hoej before the inevitability of the Hunter hero power? And this is what makes Hunter such an explosive deck, such a consistent deck, is they always have inevitability of killing you at some point because of that hero power.
Okay, so with the silence, he's able to clear 1 minion with the 2-3, 1 minion with the weapon attack. He's going to drop to 3. And then, hopefully for him... Actually, if Hoej doesn't top deck, what happens? There are 2 dudes on the board, there is a Quartermaster, so next turn he will be able to deal 2, 4, plus 6, that's 10, and the True Silver, that's 14. He will not have... Oh, there's 3 dudes.
There's 3
so 3 dudes is 9.
Yeah.
And there's plus 4.
Can this possibly be enough? I think it is. I think
it
that's
is.
enough. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's enough.
With the halfer, that's it.
Oh, and the greetings from Hoej.
Hello, Wanderer. And Hoej has it. Hoej just kills the Sludge Belcher, kills the
Doesn't
Slime
even
Token.
need the hero power. Up close and personal. Huffer to face to finish. Brings it all the way back to 3-3.
On the back of the halfer. And now Hoej can revive any deck. He might even revive this Hunter.
Like you said, it's 1-1 now between this Hunter and this Paladin, so for story purposes at least, we have to have the rubber match, right, Nimsh? We have to break this tie. So I'm really rooting for the hybrid Hunter to be revived here from Hoej.
Yeah, I want that. I want to see that as well. And I don't really care who wins that. I just want to see the Tusker Jouster and Harrison Jones versus that Hunter and the Eagle Hornbow, because I think those guys are playing extremely well, and they're in the situation where, well, there can only be one winner.
Right.
And I want to see which player is actually going to pull through with their favorite decks.
Yeah, absolutely. This final has definitely lived up to expectations. Hoej has continued to just play as solidly as he has throughout the tournament, but you know, we made a lot of how well can Faeli rise to the occasion, and I think he's certainly playing the best Hearthstone that he's played the whole tournament in this final. The play there to set up lethal and force the top deck from the Hunter there was really good, because I talked at length on the preceding turn that you cannot just keep stalling the game forever with the Hunter, because they have a button that just kills you and they don't care. If they get to press that button every turn, they're going to win. So you need at some point to flip the switch and race them back, and Faeli did that really well.
Absolutely. But Hoej is the one riding the tide right now. He is the one winning the games, and that's the big question. Can Hoej actually finish riding the wave and say ahoy to everyone, I won the tournament? We're going to see after the break. Welcome back to Gfinity Masters 2. I am Nimsh, this is Soul, and we're at the last game of the whole match, of the whole tournament. This is the grand final, Hoej versus Faeli. Faeli had a lead, but then Hoej caught up.
Right. And now we're back in the situation that we talked about before, where this is now the important decision for Hoej, and it's important that he has all the information available to him, which he does. This is the biggest decision of the tournament for him, which is I have to win one game with one deck of my choosing. Which deck do I use?
What is the best deck?
You'd have to say that the Hunter is probably the most consistent choice. Druid, we think is around 50-50 against the Paladin. We think the other two decks are slightly more favored than 50-50, but there are answers in the Paladin deck that Faeli is playing to both of these decks. Harrison hits against both of them. They're both aggressive decks, so things like Lay on Hands and Tuskar Jouster, but as an aggressive player, you'd rather your opponent was playing Tuskar Jouster than Antique Healbot, because there is still the chance that it whiffs. You know, even the secret deck has the 2 6-drops in there that the Jouster can hit and potentially lose.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I would say that's one of the reasons why maybe I'm favoring towards the Hunter, is because that deck can deny the Joust more consistently than the Paladin deck can, which plays so many 1-drops.
And it seems so good because he won with the Huffer. So he can Huffer again, but that's not the deck he's going to take.
What is he? He's picked the Paladin.
He's going to have the Paladin, so we are going to see who is stronger with the light.
Yeah, very same class, but very, very different decks. Faeli going with just a classic mid-range build, whereas, as we've seen, Hoej is going with the aggressive secrets with a little bit of mid-range flair in it.
Not that many secrets.
Yeah, a little bit of mid-range flair. He has more consistency. He's cut the amount of secrets slightly. He's added in some cards like Piloted Shredder to increase the aggression in the mid game. So it's a hybrid mid-range aggro secrets Paladin, if we're going to take the monk naming strategy for
Can
hybrid
we name it
decks.
just Hoeden?
Hoyadin.
Hoyadin,
Sure.
yeah.
Hoyadin.
Hoyadin, yes. That's the build.
All right, let's
Piloted
go with
Shredders.
Done.
And the game is almost ready, so Subtle, let's see and let's witness who is going to become our champion. It starts right now at this very moment. Hoej versus Faeli. The Paladin fight.
And now we see... Oh, okay. Very, very interesting. Hoej is not in favor of keeping Mysterious Challenger. This is a discussion I've had at a decent length with one of the other strong UK players, Pesty, who has recently played this deck to Top 10 Legend, a very, very aggressive Secrets Paladin build. And he told me you keep Mysterious Challenger in every matchup except a confirmed aggro Paladin mirror. He knows he's not playing against an aggro Paladin here, but Hoej clearly has a different philosophy on the mulligan, because he is throwing back the Mysterious Challenger and hoping to get some more consistent early game options.
Well, we have to remember the fact that you can always get it back. I mean, like, he doesn't have that many secrets, but he's running the Secret Keepers.
Yep, that's very true. Secret Keeper almost... Like, a lot of people have said, oh, it's the new Undertaker and things like that, but it's more of just like an insurance policy. You know, sometimes you get a really bad draw with a bunch of secrets in your opening hand, but if you also have Secret Keeper, you can kind of make those secrets work for you okay.
Yeah, absolutely. They make bad cards good.
Yeah. And that's kind of the theme of this deck, right? Because that's what Mysterious Challenger does as well. It pulls the power of 4 or 5 bad cards together and makes them one really, really powerful card.
I really like it about Hearthstone. It's similar to Miracle Rogue, where you can actually play some cards that are not that great on its own, but the deck structure and how you get those cards in play actually make the cards much better.
Yeah, very similar to Grim Patron Warrior as well. Cards like Inner Rage, Battle Rage, not cards that were considered in any decks at all, but suddenly coming together into this one combo deck, they got extremely powerful.
Blizzard even wanted to try to bring Wisp as a good card with the Hobgoblin. It didn't really work.
Didn't quite work, no. But we see here, Muster for Battle with Knife Juggler on board. Really, really strong turn. The important thing there was that at least one knife hit the Knife Juggler. The second one was pretty much a bonus. He would have been okay with using his weapon attack there at the Knife Juggler instead of at face, because the net damage to the opponent's face is the same amount. He doesn't care about his health in this matchup particularly.
And now Faeli is in big trouble. He needed Consecration. He can't really deal with this board. He can respond with his own Master. But there is the Juggler.
And the devastating thing here about not having the Consecration is this is his one-turn window where Consecrate is fantastic. Because we see the follow-up turn here for Hoej is 2 sticky resistant minions to AoE. So the coin Consecrate here, or him not having the coin Consecrate, is even bigger than it appears because it was such a tight window where that card is good.
Why do you think Hoej took the Paladin? Is this really getting a great matchup? Like right now it looks amazing for Hoej.
Right. I mean, he's had a fantastic opening hand, and Faeli has missed quite heavily on his opening hand. You know, I discussed, I think the Secrets build is favored. It's just I considered maybe that the Hybrid Hunter was slightly more so, but maybe Hoej disagrees. He's probably played a lot of this deck recently because you know, a lot of top players have been messing around trying to find the right build of this deck, because everyone feels like once we find the perfect build of this deck, it's going to be really, really powerful.
It's absolutely 2-1.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's played a ton of this deck recently and just, you know, he knows that his stats against mid-range Paladin have been really strong. So, you know, it's hard to say, but Hoej knows what he's doing. Hoej's an experienced player. I'm sure he made the right decision in his mind.
He even got the Divine Favor to draw some cards, but Faeli is almost dead. There's 10 damage on board, and if he plays a minion, that's even more. So no Consecration still. He can coin the Harrison Jones to maybe draw into that. That might be his last chance, but he knows that this is absolutely terrible.
This is just such a grim position here for Faeli. Like I said, the window was missed last turn for Consecrate to really swing the game on his head. He's gonna hunt for some sort of situation where he can swing this game at some point. Harrison Jones, not really.
Oh, there is a Consecration.
Yeah, the Consecrate comes into hand, but is it enough at this point?
Might be too late, but
the sticky minions are on board. He can use the Light's Justice to pop the Divine Shield on the mini bot before he Consecrates, which gets him some additional value. But this Divine Favor, though.
Yeah, he even got the mini bot to play it, and Faeli is just clapping right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes those are the breaks. I think he's resigned himself maybe one turn too soon. You know, let's see whether the Consecrate can make things happen here, because we do see that, you know, Hoej drew what, 6 cards that turn? How much better is his hand than it was last turn, honestly?
It's not that much better.
Right. It's like a piloted Shredder better than it was last turn. The other cards are pretty irrelevant.
Mysterious Challenger is still the best card there.
Yes.
And it was already in the hand. So we're going to see that Consecration spawning a couple of spiders. So with 2 spiders on board, well...
He's going to need a Miracle next turn.
Is that a new TGT card?
A Miracle? Yeah, if he top decks a Miracle, then he'll be in a really, really good situation. Yeah, Miracle, one of the most broken cards they've made. No, of course, I'm kidding. Whoa, that's quite miraculous.
Yeah, that is a TGT card.
Yeah.
Maybe if you win the Joust, can you have one more turn?
If you win the Joust and you don't attack, then you'll be at 14. There's only 8 on board. This deck actually doesn't play much burst. There's not like the Wolf Riders and the Arcane Golems that you see in outright aggro pally. So generally, like, what you see on the board is pretty much what you expect to take. They can maybe add a True Silver to it. Some decks run Blessing of Kings. But at 14 with 8 on the board, Competitive Spirit will be expected to proc, which will add 3. That's 11. So you will be dead to True Silver, but we in fact don't see the True Silver in the opponent's hand. So Tuskar Jouster will keep him alive.
Is there even a Competitive Spirit? Is he playing 2, or was this? I think it's Redemption, Noble, and Avenge.
We worked this out last time, right? Yeah, it's double Redemption, 1
and he
Competitive
loses
Spirit.
the Joust
Wow,
with the
Zombie Chow.
Oh
Cursed,
my god!
Cursed by a Zombie Chow.
And Hoej is going to take the series 4-3. Hoej is your Gfinity Hearthstone Summer Masters champion. What a match! What a comeback!
Incredible series from 3-1 down all the way back to 4-3. And I think the big talking point in that game was the Paladin the correct revival? Did he miss his chance to bring back the Patron Warrior and really close out the series? But either way, maybe Faeli made a small misstep there at the end with the revival, but you have to say throughout the entire weekend, the strongest and most consistent player here has been Hoej, so I am just overjoyed to see Hoej win, and huge congratulations to him.
Absolutely. Great player and really well played. Faeli did his best. Lord Walker Show helped a bit here, but Hoej is the man of the hour. Faeli just standing up, also being congratulated. Well played by the Czech player. Hopefully we're going to see a bit more of him in the future. Maybe that's the start. Hoej actually talking to him right now, discussing the strategies and what's going on.
Yeah, great sportsmanship from Hoej there, actually. To just straight away just go into the booth, shake hands with his opponent, say well played, and now I believe he's going to come center stage and we're going to have the presentation of the trophy.
Hoej a bit nervous about what is going to happen, but that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's Hoej. He is our Gfinity Summer Masters 2 champion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your Summer Masters 2 champion, Hoej. Give it up, everyone in the audience, for him once again, and everyone at home for your champion. We're going to have him on the desk in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll have some words from your champion. It's been 2 long days of action here at the Gfinity Arena in the Hearthstone Summer Masters 2. With me once again on the desk to close this out, Lothar. It's been emotional, but we have our champion here, Hoej, victorious with the trophy. A stunning trophy.
It's
there.
amazing.
Congratulations. It's really well played. I think you earned it. Like you played I think you are the most consistent player here, and in this edition of Gfinity. So well played. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
And it was really a nail biter final.
Yeah,
what are
it
you
was-
thinking?
It was like the most crazy series I've ever played. When I was behind 3-1 and he revived the Paladin, I think that was the right choice, even though he lost 3 games with it. There was like the class that didn't want to revive. And then it's like, yeah, the big game hunter into the boom and so on.
That was the turn when you turned the whole
Yeah.
finals around. Without that big game hunter, I think it would have been lost, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's also the first game. I just think everything went wrong with me. It's like he got the Jaws from the Tosca, and he's still like the best man from my control. It's like, yeah, I was actually started getting a little tilted there, and it's really rare that I get to do it.
Oh, I thought you were pretty much calm. So.
Yeah, I tried not to show it.
You didn't show it externally, but you could see there was a little bit going on behind the eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a pretty relatively simple time of it coming through the groups, but then everything, like you say, everything seemed to be going against you. You went
Yeah.
down to 3-1 down. We were kind of thinking, is this going to be where it all comes undone? Is Faeli going to come out to be this monster right at the last second? And then obviously picking the Paladin is something that the casters talked about, something Lothar and I have talked about. You think picking the Paladin was the right choice?
Yeah,
for
because I
Faeli?
still had but Druid left, and I think Paladin is like really favored against Druid because it's like if the Paladin first gets the board, it's like really hard for the Druid to turn it around.
Yeah.
So it's like they only got the 2 stripes to the turnarounds, and then yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the Druid matchup. That's true. But in general, I think that the Patron most likely will win one of the 3 games because it's so consistent.
Oh
with-
yeah.
So even if you like think, okay, I will not win the first game to a 4-1 finals, then I will probably squeeze it in the next 2 because
Yeah.
the matchups were better for Patron then. So I would say that the Patron was a bit better revival.
Yeah, but
in
maybe it
general.
was also like a confident pick. It's like
That's true.
Yeah.
because there have been
But enough about the guy you beat. Let's talk about you. Obviously, this is another major title for you. You won the Vigame House Cup 2.
Yeah.
Now you've come here, repeated that success at Gfinity. What does it mean to you to get your second trophy?
Well, it's not about the money. The first thing I said to Monk when I came here was like, I don't really care about the money. I just want to prove that I'm a good player and to prove to the Hearthstone community that there's actually consistency in Hearthstone. Because there's like players like Charm and Pavel and some players who keep playing qualifier and keep qualifying. And it's like, I just kind of want to say there's like consistency and there's good plays because there's also so many minor plays when you play Hearthstone that the viewers don't see. The only things the viewers see is like Doomsay from the Pirates Radar, top deck PGAs,
Yeah,
turn around. But there's so many plays in Hearthstone but people don't see.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's always what I'm saying, that there's a lot of stuff that people are not seeing or remembering. Even
Yeah.
like they always remember the most outrageous thing that happened in a
Exactly.
card game. I did the same as in other card games. So it's really nice to see that you're winning again a LAN championship. And it's, as you said, money is not the first thing you want to see when you're
But
you're
it's
playing.
a
You want
nice
the
bonus. I'm not
championship.
complaining.
Yeah, of
You've
course.
got-
Nice bonus though.
You've now joined an elite club. You're now only the 4th player to win 2 offline major titles in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
There's Kalento, Orange, Firebat, and you.
Yeah,
That's it.
feels good, man.
Nice achievement.
It's supposed to feel pretty good. I mean, what does the future hold for you? I mean, people have been saying for a long time, Hoej, when is he going to sign for a team?
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe in the future.
Okay.
Watch this space. But I mean, obviously, you're looking at the World Championships coming up. You've
Yeah, I'm
qualified.
top 8 right now.
Top 8 in Europe, and you're going to the round of 40 for the regional qualifiers. Are you looking to go all the way?
Yeah, I hope. It was like after the GGG came out, it was really hard for me to find the 3 decks that was fitting me because in the Black Rock Mountain, I had like the 3 decks I played all the time. I was like running with them. And then in the GGG, like Echo deck has become way less powerful. It's like hard, just like more transitioning into mid-range.
Yeah.
Ball control, Echo. It's like my
Yeah,
style.
that really showed that this week, what we saw from you this weekend, rather than like the ONOG finals where you brought a completely different lineup,
Yeah.
what you did here was you brought kind of your classic lineup,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you tweaked it a little bit to be better for
Because
the
it's like, I think it takes a long time for me to become like an even better Hearthstone player because it's like really hard to be good at all kind of variants of deck. There's like combo deck and there's aggro decks and there ball control decks. It's like, I think it's like if you come, it's hard to say.
Well, just to recap for you what has happened this weekend, we have the results for you. Hoej, of course, taking the first prize and $5,000. Faeli, $2,500 in second place for him. Not a bad showing at all for a player.
Still not a bad achievement
Wasn't
too.
considered one of the
Yep.
favourites at all. Green Sheep and Seacree coming 3rd and 4th, and of course Weasel, Cloud of Seacree, Cypher, and Kevik. We thank for coming, and we welcome them back any time. But unfortunately, finishing in 5th to 8th place there. Lothar, what an event it's been, and just that final seems like a match that we can look back on in years to come and think that was one of the epic finals of Hearthstone.
Yeah, I always love Gfinity when it comes to that things because we see it's kind of different because it's more qualified players. Actually, the last 2 Gfinity we had were only qualified players. So as much as controversy it brings to the community, like the usual invites and stuff, it's nice to see diversity, and because that's one of the reasons I love Gfinity events.
And I don't think you can say that by not having invited players, we haven't had top players in the world coming and winning. Legendary, and now Hoej, one of the very best players. I mean, objectively, one of the top 8 players in Europe, sitting next to us right here, and potentially was going to go on and win the World Championships. It's been quite an event here. Have you got any final thoughts? Anyone you want to thank or anything like that?
Yeah, I want to thank my friends and my twin because they came here to London and supported me.
Let's talk about that. You got here on Friday, you flew in,
yeah,
and then on Saturday morning,
then they were at the breakfast, right? It's like they just surprised me, and that's really nice.
Oh, that was nice.
Yes, they just I went down eating, and it was like coming. I was like, what? Shocked.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I came down to breakfast that morning and people were talking about Hoej's twin was here, and I thought it was just because there was a guy there who looked a little bit like Hoej. People were making a joke, but no, it was legitimately your twin. It just turned up to surprise you.
Yeah, and then I will also like thank my family for their supportive with my esports, and I want to thank some Danish players like Tesson and Crane and some others for help practice before tournaments as well.
Awesome.
Thanks, Hoej. Lothar, have you got any final thoughts on what we've seen this weekend?
Just GG. Well played.
Well, it's been an amazing weekend of Hearthstone here, and we have a very worthy winner. I don't think anyone can argue with that. What a final it was, and what a weekend of action it's been. Thank you very much for joining us here from the Gfinity Arena. This is the last Summer Masters, the last of the Masters season for Hearthstone. Make sure you keep up with all the events going on at Gfinity Arena, all the online Hearthstone ladder, lots of things still going on at Gfinity for the rest of the year, so don't miss out on those. But thank you very much for watching. I've been Callum Leslie, and we'll see you another time.